I'm excited for this match, ZP. You know, Finland, Chinese Taipei. I think this one could be much closer than some people anticipate.
I think so too. Both of these teams do have their upsides, and truth be told, you take a look at Finland here. Sweden might have been getting more of the love as far as the European teams go, but Finland, they are stacked of talent as well, and they're not one to underestimate as they come in here.
I kind of agree with D-Man. I think Finland is a team that you can put up maybe even above Sweden, like right under South Korea, like right up there with South Korea, because they have some good teamwork, right? 3 of those guys on NIP, get Taimu, fantastic DPS player. But Chinese Taipei with 5 members coming from the same team, you don't know if they have some strats that they've worked on that they have at home that they're going to bring in here to try and shock Finland.
Yeah, and I remember talking with the teams like Chinese Taipei over the course of the weekend. They feel pretty confident about their chances here, and they do have that experience playing with each other, and if any team wants to go up against them and thinks it's going to be easy, I think they might have another thing coming.
I do think, though, with the show that we just saw South Korea put on, I feel like you're going to see Finland come out and try and trump that performance. And you can see the first map here going to be the Temple of Anubis. You'll be seeing Chinese Taipei on the defensive side of things. Anything that shocks you a little bit about their comp, ZP?
Absolutely nothing shocking here thus far. Of course, there was a point where you didn't see Winston too much on defense, but after seeing the blueprint put out by Miro and other great Winstons as of late, why not run it? It's a great way of creating space for your team. They're going to have the Mei for extra control there, and overall, pretty decent team comp coming out here from Chinese Taipei.
And on the side of Finland, obviously, still a decent amount of time to just change their comp up. See, Baby Neil there, right, using the Halloween emote there from Reinhardt, smashing the pumpkins. But we saw Finland the other day, just in a scrimmage, use Widow to great effect on this. Don't think we'll see it here early. You'll see Taimu actually switch over to Widow, so you will actually see Widowmaker. Don't know if it's from the person we expected to see it from, but Taimu's had some incredible clips with Widow at the start of Overwatch, and we'll actually get underway with Taimu, see if he can hit some of these shots as Widow.
Taimu made a lot of his early fame off Widowmaker, one of the best Widows in the game. Obviously, Widow's been played a little bit less so far, but Taimu going to be going in, looking for those early pickoffs. And if you can get a 65 here on the beginning of Anubis, it's one of the best ways of just snowballing things forward, taking the point, and even getting through quickly as Taimu does land that first kill on the Zonda.
Yeah, it's a big first kill there for the side of Finland, and now they're going to be able to just start push closer towards the point. And when you have that Widow come out, ZP, nice shot there from Danny. Does it just change your way on the defensive end, like what you're originally planning? I feel like it just throws a whole wrench in your plans.
Widow is like an invisible blanket that is smothering you. It really causes you to respect sight lines more. You can't give her free poke, and it means that the offense has more chances. Himzy right now putting on a show. Got 2 hooks, was looking for a third, and Anna just barely sleeping to save herself. But X, this is starting to look like a snowball here for Finland.
Yeah, and as the fight continues, you see Himzy's going to get a nice hook there on Eddie Boss, and he's just fighting inside of the point there. It's going to be Lazy Titan drop, and the rest of Finland coming in strong. So really good first opening break from Finland.
And for those who don't know, Himzy is one of the world-class Roadhog players in the game. Very well respected, one of the best hogs that you can find. So not too surprised to see Finland throwing him out here on the hog. And for now, it's been a great game for Himzy. Taimu was able to create space with the Widowmaker. He has now switched to McCree, but Finland will have a good deal of ball momentum going into this next push here.
Yeah, now something when we spoke with Finland, they were really, I think the one thing they were really worried about more than anything was just Linkser on that Reinhardt. And I think for him, it's just figuring out the timings, like when he can engage, when he needs to fall back, play a little bit more passive. It'll be interesting to see as this exhibition progresses how his play improves on Reinhardt. You see some nice shots being put down there on Zonda from Taimu, and now he's going to work closer, getting towards that point on McCree, keeping a good distance though, putting down a lot of damage.
Soundbear comes in, and Finland still trying to take this, but here's the problem at this point. If you don't flawless victory at this point, it's very difficult to take it, and Chinese Taipei, even though they're losing number-wise on this point, respawns are going to be coming in soon, and they should be able to push this back as Himzy gets taken for a ride.
Yeah, he's just trying to stay alive for as long as possible, trying to get a hook off. Nice play there from Himzy, staying alive. He's going to have to back up, wait for some teammates here before they try and get towards that point yet again. They don't get a tick on it at all there, so a good hold there from Chinese Taipei. Finland does have that Earth Shatter to work with. They will have the whole hog too, so you see they may combo both of those.
Right, and that was a really important hold for Chinese Taipei. They were at an ult disadvantage. It wasn't a great position to be in. And now, though, that they've pushed it back, they're going to be able to even things out on ults and really force Finland to bank up a bit. It's difficult to clear out this point without a lot in your ult bank. So Finland is probably going to have to go through at least a few junk rushes here before they're really set to take it, because, as mentioned, if you don't kill all 6 without losing at least no more than 1, it's going to be very difficult to take this point.
Yeah, and you'll see Lazy Titan, he has that Graviton Surge for Chinese Taipei. The Earth Shatter is going to come in from the side of Finland, but a nice Blizzard comes from Danny on the side of Chinese Taipei, and they're actually going to be able to pick up 2 players off the back of that. going to force Finland to back all the way up. A nice wall there, trying to force that Lucio back towards his teammates, but they're going to let Finland go back, reset. Another good hold here from Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei, their war chest is growing. They do have 3 ults at the readies. And Sound Bear and Nana Boost soon to be up as well. So Finland, not in the greatest position to take this on the next fight. And let's take a look at Zonda here. Zonda will have that Death Blossom set up. He is ready to drop right down. Nana Boost might even be up for him by the time Finland gets here. And Zonda right now, ready to set them up.
Oh, I don't know if they have any idea that Zonda's there. He's going to drop down with a Death Blossom. He's going to be able to get Taimu, and Taimu calls in that Deadeye. So that is stopped there at the hands of Zonda. Fantastic push here by Chinese Taipei, getting pretty aggressive on the defensive end, but they make it work as they take out the remaining members of Finland, and Finland's going to have to reset yet again.
So we do have a switch up here by Finland where Widowmaker will be coming out once again. And there's a point where teams used to like running Widow much more often here on maps like Anubis. All these assault maps here, because if you can get the early pickoff, it makes it so much easier to actually take the rest of the point. And Taimu right now will be looking for that all-important first pick. We'll see if he can do it.
And I feel like ZP, it puts a lot of pressure on Himsy. Like if you do see Taimu get a pick, like for Himsy to get inside of the point, pick out some kills, because they have no way to pick up those kills and engagements at close range. And you see it's going to be a Nana Boost coming in, and Himsy just trying to stay alive here, has Whole Hog. See if he decides to use it. He's going to pop that Whole Hog. He's going to get one. He's going to try and take out May. May goes into that ice block. Fantastic play there. You're going to see Himsy with a nice hook there on Lucio. As he gets close, it's going to be a fantastic bubble. Just keeping Lilgo alive, and well, does not stay alive for long as Himsy chases him down as Roadhog. And now it's going to be Finland inside of the point.
And Finland has enough people alive to keep this going. They only lost 1 going into this, so they're in a great position to keep chaining deaths on the defense, keep control of this point. They're halfway there right now, and Linkser and Himsy not stopping whatsoever. Linkser just rolling in, swinging his hammer at all comers. And Finland now just 1 tick away, and that's going to be it. They capture the point with almost 3 minutes remaining.
Yeah, pretty good offensive push there from Finland. A lot of time left in the time bank. And you know, you look, when you saw the switch from Taimu back over to the Widow, that's when they broke through. I was worried they were not going to have enough close range engage, like they were going to get a pick and then not be able to get in right away. But I know Himsy, some fantastic Roadhog play, goes 15-0 there in the first half. Very nice half for Himsy on the Roadhog.
It was great for Himsy on the Roadhog, and overall, you take a look at the stats over the course of that game, it can be a little bit misleading as to how well the defense is doing, because the defense can sort of lose a fight and still come back and defend on the last point Anubis. But overall, for the eliminations in that game, it was 61-33 in favor of Finland. So Finland definitely with an air of dominance about them here, and we'll see how they go going into their defense coming up here in just a moment.
So a pretty good defense, though, on that second point by Chinese Taipei. So a lot of things I liked out of them. It'll be interesting, though. Do they have the aggression and just, you know, the slaying potential to take out this Finland team on the offensive end? I think that'll be the story here, obviously, in the second half.
And taking a look at the Finland defense, one good thing for them, they do have Himsy on the Roadhog, where him on defense is actually one of the better defensive tools you can have, just because I've seen him crush so many offensive pushes just with that early hook. He's really aggressive with his hooks, but he knows exactly where to go to land it. So it's always a threat to the offense as they set up, and no matter how coordinated you are, if Himsy reads you right, throws the hook around the corner and grabs you, your push just ends right then and there.
Well, it's just a threat of the hook, right? I mean, when you know that Roadhog has that hook up and it's not on a cooldown, you don't want to push in there. You know there's a chance you can get separated from your team, pulled into instant death. And I think just Himsy does a fantastic job knowing the timings on Roadhog.
I gotta say, I love this, by the way. Taimu, not normally a Winston player. He is flexing a little bit for this exhibition, but he is a really, really big fan of Miro, so I think he's gonna fanboy out a little bit here and show us his best Winston play.
There'll be Chinese Taipei on offense here. And we'll see what they do off the rip. You'll have Danny now running the Widow, trying to make it work of his own, and see if he can get an early pick here, as looks like they're going to choose to engage up on the bridge.
They do roll right in with the Winston. They push Finland back a bit, but Finland, they're able to back out. They don't immediately lose anyone. They're under pressure, but this is good positioning for them. They give Himsy time to take out Lucio, and just like that, Finland's going to be able to push right back in the Chinese Taipei, and they just stopped moving their X. They wanted the full reset. Or...
yeah, it looks like a little bit of a pause there on that initial push, so we'll just kind of talk about what we've seen so far from Finland. And I know they've just done a fantastic job on the offensive end. We'll see what they can do on the defensive side of things. We liked what they did there early. You saw Danny for Chinese Taipei go with the Widowmaker. It's interesting. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things, EP, where you see a comp work against you and then you just kind of go and use it for yourself. I don't know how well it'll work for Chinese Taipei.
There's no hero in the game that causes that phenomenon more than Widowmaker, but oftentimes it can be a losing proposition where if a Widowmaker is doing really well against you and you have no answer, sort of the feel is, oh, I'm going to run a Widowmaker of my own. But if the other team is way more practiced with Widowmaker, the odds of that going well for you, not so great. Now, this wasn't exactly a Widow v. Widow situation, but there have been points in the game where one team doing super well with Widow causes the other team to try their luck as well. And that's just sort of how polarizing the hero she is.
Yeah, and I think for me, the thing that Finland, they have going well for them right now is obviously Himsy on the Roadhog. It's like, if you were Chinese Taipei, how do you go about attacking him?
It's difficult because if you engage a lot in the Roadhog, but he's backed up by an Ana, backed up by good support, you might not get the pickoff. You could just be feeding the enemy support ultimates. And Himsy's really, really good about keeping himself in good positions. He's not an easy kill as a Roadhog. And the difficult thing is that he's not going to miss very many hooks. So sometimes when you look at Himsy, he does have an air of invincibility around him. Clearly, though, I think one of the better responses is to get a Reaper in there and pressure him that way.
Right, and I think also when you know he does not have that hook active, I think that's when you kind of like nuke him. You got to just unload a ton of damage onto him.
You don't just nuke him, you call for your entire team to roll right in, because there is a period where if Roadhog doesn't have hookup, he's much less of a threat. If everyone goes in, you can burst him down and go from there, because you are relying on Roadhog to give you a man advantage, but misses the hook, it'll be a 6v6.
Yeah, and I think, with the attack that Chinese Taipei was going with, you're relying a lot on that Widow to get a pick. I mean, we saw it work for Finland because Taimu is just sick on Widowmaker. It's like, how long do you think you stay on something like a Widow on offense before you actually get a pick?
You stay on it for as long as you think there's potential. It's not so much about the results you're getting, but the idea is, oh, I've been getting opportunities and missing them. But if you haven't been getting good opportunities and you haven't been getting picks, that's when it's time to stop.
Yeah, I think what we could have seen there from Chinese Taipei is maybe that initial push doesn't go well. Maybe they try one more time. Widow up top, do some damage, create just a little bit of a distraction for the rest of the teammates to get on that bridge, force Finland down, and then I think you probably would have saw Chinese Taipei switch off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I would actually say here is that you do see a lot of double pick compositions, right? Where not only do you have a Widowmaker, but you also have a Roadhog. And that gives you a double threat here, where you look at Overwatch, where are the ways you kill people in the game? Burst damage and ultimates. Well, when you don't have ultimates up early on in the game, you have the burst damage from Widow, you have the burst damage from Roadhog, and it's a great way of breaking a defense.
Yeah, I just think, though, with the way Finland was set up, they're in such a power position, I just don't know if Chinese Taipei was going to break it like that. I think you may have needed to see them, bring out like a Reaper or get like a Genji to really kind of go in with Winston and force that engage on the bridge. I think that, at least in my opinion, that's the way we see it broken the most.
Absolutely, and good Winston engages, too. You can follow through with a Genji and have sort of the double pressure there where you burst someone down in the back and at least force the defense back, create more room, create more opportunity for people to go in. And once you create that space, you don't initially have to go full in. Just take your time.
Yeah, I think, Chinese Taipei, they have a lot in front of them, right? I know Finland's such a very strong team. We saw the time that they set in the first half on the offensive end. I think, just looking forward in this matchup in this group, I feel like Chinese Taipei has a lot in front of them. And I know we did see some good things, so they are very coordinated as a team.
They are very coordinated, and I think there's potential there. And it's a tough group. There's no doubt about it. And just a note on Finland, by the way.
Yeah, and guys, just getting a quick update. It looks like we have some technical issues. We're just going to show a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
The Overwatch World Cup is sponsored in part by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
Has been gone for so very long. I anticipate his return in every gust. It's maddening. Whatever is one to do to pass the time. I've gone and made a mess. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. visitors. Preparations must be made, for the Master will return to Karazhan soon.
Welcome back to the Overwatch World Cup. We're in Finland versus Chinese Taipei. Just taking a quick break here. You know, players just getting everything situated. But while we do this, we actually caught up with the Finland team the other day. Let's get to know them a little bit better.
Team Finland probably has one of the most individually skilled teams in the entire tournament.
The experience makes the professional players like the best.
Team Finland is here to have some serious fun. It's amazing to represent my own country in such a game.
We took the game super seriously at the early stage, so I think that's one of the reasons that made us really successful. Now everybody in Team Finland is very skilled. Being on the road for like 5 months, it's like super fun to meet your countrymen. I felt like we're gonna have a real good time.
Team Finland, they have the versatility to bring out all kinds of offensive heroes. They can play a super aggressive style, they can play a more defensive triple tank composition, and they can adapt.
We have really good chemistry in Team Finland. 3 of us have been playing together for almost a year. We really know what each other plays, we know their hero pools, we know what they want to do in different situations.
I want to beat everyone, but especially Sweden, because like there's always been have been like rival a bit.
To see that all the Finnish Overwatch players have voted us to represent Finland, it feels amazing, man.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a little get to know you on Finland. Of course, we're just figuring some stuff out for the players behind us, but in the meantime, guys, we can take a deep dive on this team because led by Zappis, a beautiful man in his own right, he's got a hell of a backup behind him. 6 pro players. Tons of experience in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so much to talk about even just off that first game because it's the first time we're seeing Finland in an official capacity effectively outside of the qualifiers. And immediately we were talking about the Widowmaker. Well, we didn't mention that Taimu was there, you know, hello, this guy, this amazing Widowmaker. So obviously he started rocking the Widowmaker, switched back to the McCree and the Widowmaker. We saw Linksa doing some pretty high-level play, I think, on Reinhardt.
Yeah, on Reinhardt, that was exciting, you know. He's been going into this tournament feeling a bit under pressure. I think he's identified that everyone on Finland, they're kind of in their roles, you know, they're feeling comfortable. All the NIP players, you know, they know each other well. So, but Lynx came into this, you know, he's not accustomed to playing Reinhardt at all. So he's feeling the pressure from his teammates. But so far, he's been doing good, and we saw some good highlights on Anubis there.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of situations on Anubis already that we've seen from Lynx that we can maybe look at in a moment here. But, I mean, this team is incredibly interesting. I mean, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Saini as well, who he himself is an incredibly good sniper player, or at least he was back in Team Fortress 2. So, you know, talking about, you know, seeing what we have of that Widowmaker earlier on, this team is pretty nutty in what they can produce in that regard. Taimu, it's appropriate to see him on that one. Saini was actually hedged. He was pigeonholed as a bit of a sniper back from the TF2 days, and early in Overwatch, he was actually sort of stuck in that position. And then Lynx, for creation, used to pull the Widowmaker pick out on maps like Nepal, for God's sake, pulling it out on control maps and just, you know, giving people hell with that one as well. So if we see a little bit more prevalence in the Widowmaker pick there, I don't think a time of going to that one was really what made the difference on their attacking side. But
no, a good addition. It was a good addition.
Yes,
certainly.
it was the distraction. It was the total distraction factor. I mean, we obviously saw it in the scrims yesterday, so we kind of suspected it might well be coming, especially on Anubis. But it was enough of a distraction that Himsy, obviously we heard ZP mentioning about how good he is on Roadhog. It was enough of a distraction that he was able to start hooking the targets. They're all looking this way, and there's a hook coming that way, and suddenly they're pulled away. And the first point went very quickly. And honestly, they struggled a little bit on the second point, of course, but they did cap it out. They had, what, 2:52, I think, the time that they managed to do it in. But it was all about that beautiful bait play from Linksa.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I do have to say about the Widowmaker, though, is that even though this team has like 3 Widowmakers in the top 5 world, you know, we saw Taimu on the first point go to Widowmaker, and it's really effective on the first point, but then we saw him go back to Widowmaker on the second point, and even though Finland took that point, I feel like they might be a bit overconfident on this Widowmaker. You know, it's not a pick that usually unlocks so many points. It has few niches, but it's not that good, and I hope to not see them on it too much.
Like, I have to ask you this: at what point do you, as you're playing McCree on towards that final point, at what point do you turn around and go, you know what we need? We need to get rid of McCree, and we need a Widowmaker here.
We need to do this from further away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you're trying to push the second point on Anubis, there is some desperation if you don't get it straight away. So I can imagine Taimu sitting on stage. You know, he's been talking about Envious having problems with pressure on stage and etc. So if they fail to capture the second point on Anubis in 3 minutes or so, you know, maybe he's just swapping to that Widowmaker to change things up, but for the worse, in my opinion.
And if you do that as well, in general, you let a defensive team get rolling in a situation where they can actually build up a sufficient bank of ultimates. If they use them in 2s, let's just say, I mean, Graviton Surge Pulse Bomb, and the next fight could be Nano Boost and Death Blossom, you can keep yourself rolling and keep getting more ultimates, and there will never be a situation where you technically have an ultimate disadvantage. You don't want to let the defending team get rolling in that regard, or give them any fights where they can charge up ultimates for free without using any. It's a transaction, right? And you don't want to allow them get more than they, I guess, have earned or more than they bargained for.
Yeah, we're going to see these guys, tackle once again Temple of Anubis. But after that, they have Eichenwald and possibly Lijiang Tower as a final round out. So we know Team Finland pretty well. We know these Finnish guys. We've seen them play on these maps. What is going to be their strong suit here, and what do you think they're most concerned about with this map lineup?
Well, we saw it just actually on the defensive side, you know, the flexibility that they have. We were talking about at the start, obviously on attack, completely different. We're seeing these Widowmakers thrown out there. Go on defense, bam, 4 tanks, no problem. Don't need any more DPS really than that. They get the double support, 4 tanks covering off the point. And it seemed to start working very well there before we had the pause come in. So I think this is the main part of Finland. Obviously, we're looking at a lot of the teams. We're looking at the Germans, you know, your Russias. We are seeing in Finland there is a massive scope for flexibility. Obviously, when you originally look at it, you think, God, there's so much on this team. But I think they have it in the bag to adjust to the situation. It seems they are... Camaraderie is very strong. You know, we were looking at them just there, the laughing, everything. Every time we see these guys, they've got a big smile on their face and they're joking with each other, which is something you need when maybe things won't go so well for them like it is right now.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to what you mentioned about the quad tank setup they're using now on defense on Anubis here. It's a very hard composition to go up against, and it feels like Chinese Taipei, they were a bit stuck, you know. It's a hard composition to really break through. You can't really go to any side of the map and get position because they will be all over you. So I think going into the Anubis again, I want to see Chinese Taipei. I want to see them bring out the Mei on offense, and I want to see them bring out the Reaper on offense to sort of bait out these engagements, because these hard tanks, you know, they don't have a way to go back or get away from the fight. So if they can bait out the aggression from Finland and then shut them out, I think they have a good chance of actually getting a good time here on Anubis.
Yeah, it's tricky to play up against so many tanks as well, because generally the generally accepted method of dealing with a stacked tank composition is, like you said, use the Mei, you know, try and control the space with something like Blizzard. Also, get a Reaper in towards him. If he's nano boosted, Reaper's killing 200 HP heroes in 1 tick of that Death Blossom. So up against the tank compositions, he's a lot stronger. Problem is, this requires a few conditions to be met. He needs to be shielded, he needs to be speed boosted, he needs the Ana ultimate being used on him, of course, the nano boost. Whereas, you know, the conditions to winning his quad tank is just don't die. just stay around, heal yourself up, and weather the storm there. So it's much easier to play a quad tank comp, and it's a lot harder to have to respond to it and try and break it down.
And of course, obviously the biggest thing is if you lose one of those tanks, there's not a great deal of damage there. So once one falls, generally the other 4 will go with it.
It's a lot to think about for Chinese Taipei. We can see them as they're getting set up themselves and kind of rallying as a team. You know, we talked about how what the advantage they have is coming in as 5 of a 6 complete pro team. Their 6th player is an analyst, a caster like yourselves.
Right.
So just speaking to the analyst caster role, I mean, how effective do you think you would be if you were asked to kind of jump into this spot?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit old for this game, but I mean, we could ask. We've got AlphaCast here as well for the French team, who's obviously one of our work colleagues that is the captain of France, and he obviously, you know, even from talking to him, it's a lot of pressure, I guess, probably for Baby Nee. He's obviously he's a Heroes of the Storm commentator actually back in his home country in Chinese Taipei, but. Overall, you know, you're coming into this one, he's probably getting a lot of flack, because that's what AlphaCast was saying. He's like a lot of pressure from perhaps other pro players. I mean, you mentioned there's 5 members of AHQ. That 6th guy is probably not happy.
What is he doing right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, that is definitely a good point as well. I think you don't like if you put me on that stage right now. First of all, I mean, hey, Katie will be out of job because I play McCree and just wreck everyone. But
yeah.
more importantly,
let's face it, everybody goes Lucio if you're a shoutcaster.
Well, I'm not doing that. Man, that's why Crew left Melty in the first place. No more Lucio. I'm going to be just like that. But no, realistically, a player that plays on their own or maybe doesn't play in a team, there's a lot of things you need to understand. Execution. I have played in some situations with some players in like some in-houses and stuff, and even those where it's sort of a scrim and sort of serious, I am completely overwhelmed by the amount of information that I have to process and pass along, either just take it in or pass through as well. The hierarchy of threat, who am I killing? Even as a McCree player, you think it's quite straightforward, just click and kill, right? But you know, McCree requires a lot of positioning and staying safe as well. So I get overwhelmed really easily. So I can understand for players as well, especially because Baby Nee is not playing Lucy, he's playing the Reinhardt. He's playing tanky in this team. So it's not like, hey, break it down.
That
you know,
tank requires nothing. Reinhardt is. I mean,
no. I mean, it's even harder because you don't get to see nearly as much of the game.
It's easy, right, Johnny?
Yeah, you just press shift, you know, and you go a distance, you know, you set up your teammates. It's all about
triggered.
As you potentially move into a player role after this stint as analyst reinforced, where do you envision yourself?
I find you very condescending right now.
That's a very diplomatic way to put it. I would have said something else, but good on you. So polite.
Oh, it's a pleasure to work with you, and we're so happy for your pro player
I'm so
insight
happy to be
here.
on the desk.
Are you having a good time? Well, guys, we're just about to get back into this game with Chinese Taipei here going up against Finland. Is there anything else you wanted to add to kind of the viewer perspective to keep in mind as we watch these two teams fight?
Oof. Check out Finland's versatility. I think it's really exciting to watch them bring out so many different picks and so many different compositions. We've seen them in NIP play this triple tank composition, quad tank composition, and I think this Finland team just shows that there's so much versatility. There's so much more to them than just this single composition.
I'd say this is not going to be a rollover. I don't think this is going to be a stomp. I think what we've seen from Chinese Taipei lends itself to these guys being very mechanically skilled. So I don't think this should be a rollover. I think guys like Zonda and Danny Little Titans are going to be pretty darn scary. So do keep an eye on them.
All right, well, let's hop right back into the game and check out the action.
Thanks, Rachel. I loved Mitch's prediction there. He's like, I don't think it's going to be a stomp. And he's like, both sides. I love the way he played that. That's the kind of the prediction I would make. As just to kind of fill you guys in on the situation with the circumstances, you know, the fairest option was to restart the map. So we're going to be playing things off as though Finland did not get that last point. So it's going to give both teams a fair opportunity here. So it'll be Chinese Taipei on the defense, Finland back on the offense with Taimu on the Widowmaker.
What we see from Finland is that they will be running that double pick-off combo once more. If Taimu can't get it done, Himsy is going to try to get it done as well. So big threats here for Finland as they try and set up with a quick 6v5.
It'll be Taimu taking pretty much the same route he took the first time, and he's going to go up top trying to connect with a shot, and he sees the Reinhardt shield there, can call it out to his teammates so they know what to expect. But the defensive stand-up on the bridge, pretty standard here on Temple of Anubis, and you see Taimu just searching for players around the corner. Everybody on Chinese Taipei knows he's with the Widow, doesn't want to poke out, but right there you see Himsy getting a nice hook. Linkser and Co. finish off Zonda, and now you look to see Finland just take advantage of that early pick.
It's 2 picks here for Himsy as Himsy just rolling right forward. This is where he's in his element. There's not too much to stop him here at this point. Hook is off cooldown once more. If the 6v4, soon to be a 6v3, Finland is just rolling through, doing whatever they want, and this should be a very quick first cap indeed.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a nice job picking up these kills. They just got to get on the point. It's going to be Danny and Lugo still alive for Chinese Taipei, and Zonda comes up the spawn, switches over to Reaper. I was going to say he's doing some nice things, but Taimu quickly ends his life there with a fantastic headshot He's going to use his ultimate, knows exactly where the players are coming from. Gets immediately pounced on by Winston. It's going to be Finland. And everybody getting on the point, though. They are pushing strong. And they look to be able to take this first point here on Temple of Anubis.
And Chinese Taipei just conceding this. They know that this point is done. And now here's the question is, will Finland, by winning that fight rather decisively, will they be able to go in here and take the next point just as decisively? They will have a bit of an advantage. This is sort of the mini snowball here on Anubis, where your best chance at taking point B is right after taking point A. So Finland now with the window of opportunity as they move in versus Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, now Taimu on that first point, 3 eliminations, 0 deaths, 2,700 damage. So doing a lot for the Finland side of things. And we'll see if they stick with Widow. You know, they see if they can break through. It's a little bit of what I'm worried about from the previous times. When they have Taimu on Widow, he's able to get a pick. How are they going to engage fast? Who's going to be in there to pick up those important eliminations on the point?
Well, he just got picked by the other sniper, the one known as Anna. Eddie Boss takes him out. Himsy right now looking for pickoffs, both 2 down on the Finland side. They sound bear at kind of an inopportune time. This isn't great for them. They're already down people. Even if they get a few picks here, X, they're not going to have the critical mass needed to take this point.
No, and for Finland, they're just going to back out. They're going to have a nano boost to work with, a whole hog. They have a lot to use here on this next push. Inside of Chinese Taipei, though, they do have the Death Blossom and Blizzard, so look to see when the nano boost from Zappis comes in for Finland. Danny, throw down that Blizzard, stop that nano boosted target right in his tracks.
Right, and a lot of options here for Chinese Taipei, but Taimu able to take down Danny immediately, sends him to 65, but Taimu gets taken down in turn by Eddie Boss. Sniper v sniper battles intensifying here, 5v5, as Finland tries to make the most of this. They roll right in.
Yeah, and it's going to be Zonda putting down some nice damage here with Reaper, just cutting down the opponents, able to take Mafu out, and just look at this little flank coming here, taking out Himsy. Fantastic play by Chinese Taipei, just sectioning off targets, picking people off one by one.
And here's the thing, even though Finland is starting to bank their war chest right now, your ultimate that they're missing here is certainly Sound Barrier. Take a look at Chinese Taipei. They're loaded for Bear as well, and that means it's pretty unlikely that even if Finland uses all their ults here, to have a flawless victory, gonna be really rough unless Taimu can get that early pickoff.
Oh, and it is so dangerous for Lilgo to try and peek him, and no, even Danny trying to peek him is May, and oh, you eventually knew that was going to happen with the way you saw things going. Taimu with a fantastic angle, just looking inside of the point, but the rest of his teammates in there, they're stuck in a Graviton Surge. Lynx are on the point, nano boosted, he's going to fall, and it's going to be Chinese Taipei getting a hold here.
And that was the problem there for Finland, is that even getting the early pickoff from Taimu, there are so many ultimates up on the side of Chinese Taipei that to get through there and actually win in such a way that they could keep up momentum was going to be unlikely. But to their credit, they did drain a lot of resources out of Chinese Taipei. And we'll see now, if Taimu can get a pick, it might go way better for them this time.
And do you think the side of Finland needs to change anything up, ZP? You know, we see Taimu doing a nice job, just putting down some shots, you know, connecting, getting some limbs here early, but they're not actually able to get onto the point to make anything happen. Do you think they need him to switch up here off of the Widow to try and take this one?
Not yet. He has been able to get picks pretty consistently. Unfortunately, the ultimates of Chinese Taipei turned it the other way in the last fight. But if Taimu can consistently pick off a Lucio fight after fight, it's still worth running here as Finland pushes his out once more. Lynx her a third shatter on the ready. See if he can land, but no, Zonda takes him right out to start things off, and now Finland getting pushed back a bit.
Yeah, what happened there is you saw Taimu put a nice shot onto the enemy Zarya, and they just chased her underneath the bridge, but it was Chinese Taipei there in a perfect position. Zonda with the Reaper, he was able to pick up a few eliminations, and now it's going to force Finland back all the way up. Some nice shots there, though, by Taimu, putting one hit into Lilgo, and still, Taimu's so accurate with Widow, just putting down so much damage, but you look, there's nobody there to follow this up.
One thing that's starting to become a problem here is that Taimu has not been getting the pickoffs the last 2 runs. I do think Chinese Taipei is playing around the Widow pretty heavily. If Taimu doesn't get pickoff in this run, I would expect him to switch off as time. While there's 3 minutes left for Finland, it's not quite as much as they would like. They will change up something sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Taimu, you use the ultimate here. If it works, I mean, you stick with the Widow, obviously, through the spawn. If not, you drop here. This is where you make the change. It's going to be Taimu opening things up with a big first blood there on the Lazy Titan. And you see the Earth Shatter come in from Baby Knight, and he's going to be able to knock down one, but Lynxer comes straight through, and you have Zonda with that Death Blossom. Can he make anything happen? Big kill there, taking out Himsy, getting Roadhog out of the way, and here comes the Death Blossom, able to pick up 2. Zonda going huge on the point for Chinese Taipei.
I think this is where we're going to see Finland swap things up. Taimu will probably go here to a McCree, to a Reaper, something that does more damage, and there it is. Taimu will be swapping here to the Reaper. They want consistency. They have 2 minutes here, so they have about 3-4 cracks here at this apple, but overall, Chinese Taipei coming off a really good defense with the Blizzard up for the next fight. Things could be a little bit rough here for Finland.
Yeah, not just fantastic ult usage, too, out of Chinese Taipei. Danny will have the Blizzard, so see if he uses that in this next fight or whether he decides to save it for when that nano boost comes in. And he's trying to section off the players here of Finland, and here comes the Blizzard, and he's got a lot of Finland players inside of it. There goes Cine. It's going to just freeze the Reinhardt, move on, let his teammates finish off that target. Very nice hold again from Chinese Taipei, and now they're just trying to finish off these last few members of Finland going on the hunt here. They have Himzy blocked, fantastic wall, and now you'll see they'll probably start to back up ZP, get set up. They don't want to get too over aggressive here and get picked off coming up the spawn.
So keeping in mind that Finland really does need to kill almost everyone here without suffering losses in turn, their best chance of winning this is the window that they're going to have between Taimu and Zappis. Zappis will have the nano boost on the Taimu. He's not going to have a Death Blossom, but still really, really effective to let Taimu go in there. If that doesn't work out for them, and if Himzy doesn't get an early pick, I can't see Finland taking this point. So Finland, that's what to look onto here, and maybe Moffa can set them up here with this Graviton as well.
Yeah, and I think they'll have the Graviton, obviously, and they will also have Zappis with the nano boost here in just a second. You'll see they have a lot of ultimates to work with. This is their best chance to take this one. It's going to be Mafu using that Graviton, and he actually falls down. It's going to be Linkster coming through. A big Earth Shatter there, able to knock down 3 members of Chinese Taipei, and it's just Zonda trying to stay alive for Chinese Taipei. Big Death Blossom there. He's only able to get 1 player with it, and just kills being exchanged inside of the point. And it's going to be Finland coming out on top. And a lot of these engagements, Himzy in the back trying to stay alive, has Mafu there with him. And Mafu doing a fantastic job applying those barriers to his teammate, keeping him up. And you see Zappis just putting down some shots there with Anna. And now you see Finland, they have control of the point ZP. It's whether they can keep this hold.
The problem is keeping control. They have suffered some casualties here, and the defensive respawns are coming in. They have not gotten a single tick here, so even though they won the fight, Anubis, with its advantage in defense, means that Chinese Taipei is still getting the ability to swirl onto a point, but Taimu coming in, the Death Blossom picks up 2. Finland still holding strong. Their reinforcements have come in, and Finland, at the last moment here, well on their way to capturing this point. They have a full 6 back and in here, and Chinese Taipei is on the ropes.
Oh, it's a disaster for Chinese Taipei. They used the nano boost on that last fight. They gave it to their Winston, got sucked up in the Graviton Surge. Now they don't have it to come here on the attack here, trying to take the point back, and that ends up being their downfall the end of the day, and it's going to be Finland. They're able to get both points, do not have any time left. So it was a good defensive stand from Chinese Taipei there in the first half. You really, I mean, when you look at some of the stats, you know, Eddie Boss had a fantastic first half for Chinese Taipei. So Zonda do some big things there on the Reaper. So a good first half there for Chinese Taipei.
It was great for them, and really one key part that was kind of cool to watch is that Taimu, of course, one of the best Widowmaker players in the game when he does decide to play Widow, but Eddie Bost on the Ana was applying a lot of counter pressure to him, took him out multiple times in those Ana v Widow fights. So Eddie Bost was a big reason as to why Taimu didn't have quite as much flexibility in room as he normally would have when playing that offensive Widowmaker.
You get a shot at some of the players here. Mafu with a fantastic hat. I believe that is a Daffy Duck hat, if I'm not mistaken. I have not watched Looney Tunes in God knows how many years, I believe. That's what he's going for there with that look. I don't have one of those hats. I would like one, though, if he can refer me where to get one. But looks like going into the second half, is there anything you're looking to see from Finland?
From Finland here, I think they're going to be playing a more secure defense here, where I think they were going to be a little bit more aggressive at points, but here I think they just want to try and drag things out, where even if they lose point A, they want to drag enough time out of this so that they don't lose point B and they don't have to play for a draw.
So Finland on defense will go with Taimu on Winston, just showing how deep his hero pool is here. I mean, from Widow to Winston, and we know about all the DPS characters he can play. And you'll have Himzy staying true on that Roadhog. It's been so effective, able to get those early first picks. Taimu not doing a good job hiding the fact that he will be playing Winston this one, as he walks directly up to the Chinese Taipei spawn door.
Well, as
probably
mentioned,
not ideal.
As mentioned, Taimu doesn't really play tanks all that often in his normal roles in normal competition, but here in this exhibition, people flex a little bit more, and Taimu going to do his best Miro impression here as he uses Winston to create space here for Finland and not let Chinese Taipei get the engagements that they're looking for.
And it'll be Chinese Taipei going with Reaper here on Zonda. It was so effective on the defensive end. I like the switch here on offense, because what that'll happen is when they engage, they'll be able to get in and actually have somebody to burn down these tank players. And you see Danny getting a hook of his own there at the beginning, though. It's Taimu able to take 2 out on Winston. It's going to be Himzy getting 1 as well. Danny having to back up, waiting for his teammates to come off the spawn. They are just throwing all types of stuff at him. Finally gets a hook on a Taimu. Not enough though. He is going to fall on the early first push. Domination there by Finland of Chinese Taipei. That now Chinese Taipei has to go back to the drawing board here, ZP.
They do have to go back to the drawing board, and what you can expect from Finland here is more of the same, where they are going to be more aggressive on defense. Taimu has already built up a primal rage, which means that he's going to be even more aggressive here on this defense. He's going to get in the face of Chinese Taipei, and he's going to be creating all the space for his team as they sit back comfortably behind Lynx's Rhine Shield and just lay in poke damage with poke damage. You do have the Winston leaping in, but here it comes. Nano boosted Winston on the way.
Yeah, and he just gets right to the back line, able to take out the Chinese Taipei Lucio player, so that is a huge play there by Taimu, and that is going to make it very difficult. And look, he's even just going for the Ana player, but a fantastic Zarya shield comes in and just keeps Eddie Boss alive. So Eddie Boss able to heal his team's Roadhog through that as well. So nice play there by Chinese Taipei, and now they're looking to go on the offensive. And you see Lynxer, he's going to back up, wait for some teammates, and then Finland's going to maybe make one more attempt to hold this CP.
It's going to be really hard for Finland to get back in on this, and it carries risk. Because think about this here, X. If they go in right now and it fails, Chinese Taipei will have a golden road to second, but they're going in. Lynxer drops the Earth Shatter, doesn't quite get as much as he's looking for. Chinese Taipei just bends back. They haven't lost anyone yet here in this fight. This Taimu takes on Lazy Time, but it's back and forth. This could be risky for Finland if it doesn't pay off.
Yeah, now Zonda's going to be that nano-boosted Reaper inside the point, just doing all types of work here. Uses that Wraith Form, just dodging Taimu there, letting his Winston come through. And here's where things get dangerous, EP, because Chinese Taipei takes that point. Now they have the opportunity to push through.
They have the opportunity to push through. Finland is not going to be able to set up properly here, and this is the risk that Finland took. It has not paid off here just yet. Chinese Taipei with a great opportunity to put this map away, get the second point, and here they go. Graviton Surge is on the way, and Zonda just feasting right now.
Yeah, and the Reaper just said Finland has had no answer for this. I mean, Zonda has just gone absolutely huge for Chinese Taipei, just putting down tons of damage on Lynxer. He's going to be able to pick up 2, and this would be a huge upset here in our first map in this series if Chinese Taipei were able to hold on just a little bit longer. You see, this is going to be Lucio inside of the point trying to stay alive. It's going to be Chinese Taipei picking up some kills, but here comes Taimu. He's able to get through the nano boost and just force Chinese Taipei back. So it looks like Finland going to be able to get a hold here. It's going to be 2 ticks though for Chinese Taipei.
And yet, X, the damage was done here. You take a look at Chinese Taipei. They got 2/3 of the way to where they need to go, and they have 5 minutes left remaining. Finland is going to have to tighten up big time if they want to hold for this. It's not impossible. We've seen teams hold here time and time again, but it's still going to be very, very difficult. Chinese Taipei, they're just in a great position.
No, I mean, 5 minutes is an eternity on this map, right? I mean, you can get inside there, and they did such a good job with that initial push, just getting those 2 ticks. They just do not need that much more, and you see Danny, he's going to be able to take out Taimu here at the beginning. Zonda going on top, going to set up a big Death Blossom opportunity. He drops down, though, sees the enemy sound barrier come in, and the Blizzard does not use that Death Blossom. Smart play here from Zonda.
Zonda does get poked down a little bit, still on into that Death Blossom, looking for his opportunity. Graviton surges out, and Zonda just starts spinning into Finland. Not quite the result he's looking for. 2 members of Finland are down, but there's enough up that they should be able to keep stalling this. Mafu, being a tank in all sense of the word, has 3 kills here in this fight, and is being a big impediment right now to Chinese Taipei trying to take this point.
Oh, and it's Zappis just trying to keep Taimu alive, and now just trying to defend the point. He's being just bombarded by all members of Chinese Taipei. Fantastic job by Zappis, able to stay alive. And you see Lynxer switch over to that Tracer just to get inside of the point as fast as possible. He picks up 1, but really it was just Zappis able to stay alive in there on that Ana. Such a big play there for Finland.
It was big on Finland, and you actually saw the coordination there between Mafu and Zappis, where Mafu, he doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for it, but he is one of the more survivable Zaryas in the game. Plays it really well, multi-talented player, and they were able to hold things in there for Finland as Chinese Taipei. They're coming on another push. They have a Graviton, but Lazy Time has to be careful not to die before it even begins.
Well, I mean, here's a perfect opportunity for Chinese Taipei, right? I mean, they have 3 ultimates to work with on the side of Finland. You have nothing up, so this is one where Chinese Taipei can really start to take advantage. And here comes Danny with the whole hog. They use the Graviton and the Earth Shatter as well. You see players just dropping like flies for Finland. See one sleeping on the ground. It's going to be Himsy on May. He's taken out. It's going to be another kill going in favor for Chinese Taipei, and they get on the point, and it looks like ZP. All Lynx are just getting in on Tracer, just trying to stay alive, but it is not enough. It's going to be Chinese Taipei taking that second point.
And now Chinese Taipei has set up beautifully to put themselves up 1-0 here in the series. All they need to do is come back around once more, capture point A, and that is going to be it. They will be the winners of Temple Anubis. Finland gonna have to dig real deep here on this defense, not lose a single team fight if they want to keep this even.
And Danny on Roadhog has been absolutely massive, 38-8 at the moment, 17,000 damage being done. So Danny doing a fantastic job on that hero, really turning the tides in his team's favor.
Danny showing up with a good Roadhog. Of course, we were looking here more at Himsy to start things out, but Chinese Taipei saying, look, Himsy isn't the only person that can play a good Roadhog. We know we have one as well.
Now we'll see what Finland goes with here on the defensive side of things. They are going to put Taimu on McCree, so that is a little bit of a change up from the first defensive side they had. And ZP, what is the logic behind going with McCree here?
The logic behind this is that Taimu is one of the most explosive playmakers in the game when he's on McCree. When you look at McCree's on the North American European side, there's really two equals to Taimu here in IDD, QD, and Surefour, but Taimu is definitely one of the heads of the Hydra. And any team has trouble getting through him, so Taimu looking to put his team on his back a little bit here with this McCree pick.
A lot of pressure for Chinese Taipei on Zonda. He's been phenomenal up until this point, but trying to get his team a win here in the first map against Finland would be massive. And a lot of just the fact that he's going to be the one that's going to be able to pick up a lot of kills, just get in and shred down this 3-tank lineup. And see, just taking down some shots at range, waiting for his teammates to push up and get onto the enemy bridge, just trying to force the side of Finland to that lower ground.
And for now, Chinese Taipei is being pushed back a bit. You take a look at Finland, they're not running the defensive Winston where they're going super deep with it, but they're laying in good poke damage. Taimu able to take down Baby. It's 2 quick kills, but the hook comes in, and Taimu getting saved by the Zarya shield and the sleep dart just rolls forward, and this will be a full wipe here for the side of Finland.
You know, a lot of the times, you see, like, we watch a McCree play and they're just putting down some shots at range. This is the complete opposite. Taimu just knows how great his accuracy and aim is, and he's able to just get into the opponent's faces and just take players out as McCree.
But he made a terrible mistake there. He went way too far up. There was no need for that. It was a positioning error here by Taimu. Now, that is a long run back from the spawn all the way here. This is a big opportunity for Chinese Taipei as they're going to roll in here with the 6v5.
Yeah, and it's going to be Whole Hog coming out from Himsy, but he is quickly putting a Graviton Surge. You see Zonda's going to be able to pick up 2. This is a big opportunity. Chinese Taipei getting closer towards the point. Zonda's going to be able to pick players up. Mafu trying to stay alive. As Zarya, he's going to fall as well. And you can see there's nobody around for Finland, and it's going to be Chinese Taipei taking the point, ZP.
Unfortunately, if you're going to say a main reason for that, aside from Chinese Taipei playing well, Taimu just went far too deep. It was not necessary, and it gave Chinese Taipei the opening they needed to win that game. So it was a big play from Chinese Taipei to get through, and Finland, they have some mistakes to fix going into map number 2.
Yeah, obviously when you get going on a DPS hero like you were on Taimu there, playing on that McCree, you were just pushing up and just getting so much damage going and just picking up so many kills that you had to feel pretty good about your chances to take that one when things were going your favor. But it's Chinese Taipei that takes game number 1. And for a lot of our fans out there, they don't know a lot about these guys from Chinese Taipei. So let's take a look at them.
Chinese Taipei is coming into this with a lot to prove, and this is the perfect chance to show the world what they've got.
大家都说我们分到的组叫做死亡之组，有芬兰以及韩国都有很知名的玩家。当我们知道这个组分组的时候，其实队员以及我都不气馁。
This team is in arguably one of the hardest groups at BlizzCon, but they have a secret weapon. If you unleash him right and you play around him, he can carry a team himself.
游戏很好玩，就会一直很投入进去，然后有很多很厉害的选手会想要去超越。
像我们本身队伍有一个专精输出的玩家叫中打，像是除了我之外的3名成员，他们都是既定 AHQ 的成员，所以我在挑剩下的成员的话，优先会选择我们缺乏的辅助。
因为我跟现在的队员其实在以前就有认识，然后到世界杯的时候才就是变成一个团体，那我觉得非常的开心，然后也非常融合。我们的电竞比赛在世界上也是很厉害的。 然后我们会证明我们在 Overwatch 这一块也是很厉害的。
我们在死亡之组这道高墙，我们会选择打破它。
Chinese Taipei got one step closer to breaking down that wall they were talking about, ZP. They take that first map over Finland. Now we head on to Eichenwald here. Now Zonda just absolutely dominant in map number 1. Going to keep an eye on him, see if he can continue that success. And he's got to be playing with, I don't want to call it a little bit of a pressure, not as much pressure. I want to say, just kind of needs to really prove to himself. I mean, this is a guy who's played professionally multiple other games, like wants to come up and live to his previous legacy here. Did a fantastic job there in our first map.
Zonda had a great showing as a DPS player there. Really made the most of his opportunities. And you talk about breaking down walls. Eichenwald is a map all about that. You get to the payload, you escort it through, and it actually just breaks down the walls after a checkpoint. So one of the cool flavor parts of this map. But as we take a look here at the defense coming up from Chinese Taipei, pretty standard across the board. We will be having Danny on that Mei, Zonda on the Reaper once more, and gonna be Reinhardt Zarya leading things up here on the tank. So pretty standard as far as Eichenwald defenses go.
Yeah, you saw Finland just causing a ruckus in their spawn. They eventually switch over to the composition that we'll be seeing them run on the offensive side of things. Be Himsy sticking on that Roadhog. It'll be so crucial if he can get a first hook here early, ZP. Get a first initial pick, and then you'll see Finland just flood through this narrow choke.
Key here for Finland is that Finland is definitely going more standard, more reliable here. They have Taimu on the McCree, so they're not necessarily going to need to get early picks. Taimu working to take down that Reinhardt shield early on, going to be the engine of this Finland damage, while Himsy still a constant threat of pickoffs here. So Finland just looking to slowly grind down Chinese Taipei, but the Ice Wall is going to split them.
Yeah, and you see it was Finland trying to go there with a fast push, and quickly that Mei wall came down from Danny on the side of Chinese Taipei, splits up Finland. It's going to be Taimu, though, getting that high ground. He's able to take out one. Needs to go get some health, though. It's very weak, I believe, out of 20 HP here. And now you see Finland just doing some poke damage at range, just forcing the side of Chinese Taipei back. And now with that Mei coming off the respawn, Danny's actually going to switch things over to Tracer to get back into the fight. They don't have to worry about getting separated right there. They catch Zonda off on his own. Taimu's able to take him out. Now look for Finland to make a push.
Finland with a 6v3 advantage here. They're almost certainly going to take this play as Danny just getting domed by Taimu there towards the end. And one good thing about this comp that Finland is running here, where you do have the Roadhog, is that they are able to win Reinhardt v Reinhardt battles where they have way more damage they can throw on to the opposing Reinhardt shield. So Finland just ground that out there, and it worked beautifully.
That was just a filthy shot by Taimu as well. Able to take out Danny when he switches over. Now back on Mei, but as that Tracer, it's so difficult to just track like mid-blink, and Taimu just takes him out. So now it'll be Chinese Taipei here when we go over towards the second point on Eichenwald, just taking this high ground ZP. And we've seen a lot of teams, obviously they struggle at the end. We'll talk to there if Finland can make it. But at this point as well, what is the best way for Finland to go attack this?
Finland, there's two ways. They can stand the payload and make Chinese Taipei to them, or try and go for the top. And Chinese Taipei, they're coming to them. Graviton surges out ready here for Lazy Titan. He's not used just yet, doesn't like the situation. Himsy gonna fall, but Finland's still applying the pressure.
Yeah, now you're going to see now the Earthshatter comes in from Baby Nai, and he's going to get a Zarya barrier as well, just to keep him alive a little bit longer. And it was actually a nano boost on the side of Finland, used on City on their Lucio. So obviously not the intended target for the nano boost. We have not seen any nano boosted Lucios intended. Usually that goes on, obviously, your Reinhardts, your Reapers of the world. Definitely not an ability you want to give the Lucio there. Not going to benefit your team at all. And now Finland taking advantage of this Chinese Taipei defense as they're backing up, moving the payload underneath the bridge. It's going to be Zonda able to get one. Danny picks up another, and now you see everything going in Chinese Taipei's favor. Finland does do damage though, ZP. They push the payload pretty far.
Finland put the payload up quite a bit there, and also when the Graviton came in, they didn't use any ultimates there. They said, all right, Chinese Taipei, come in, use part of your ult bank, use your Sound Bearer, use your Graviton. We don't really care. We're not going to invest any resources into this fight, and we're going to be back with ultimates of our own. Mafu going to be looking to set up his team here with the Graviton. So Finland playing the ult economy game very, very wisely right now, and it should pay off as they roll into this next fight.
Yeah, now you think Zappis probably gets that nano boost again going into this next one. I mean, he's at 82. You know how fast Anna can charge up her ultimate ability, but here comes Himsy on the sneak. He's going to just hook the opposing team's Reinhardt, but he's going to get frozen. It's going to be a Mei Blizzard coming in from Danny and Chinese Taipei, and now they're pushing through. They're able to pick up some kills. You see Taimu, though, he's going to use the Deadeye. Sound Barrier going to come in as well. Just forces everybody from Chinese Taipei back. Able to take out Eddie Boss, though. Taimu picks up two, trying to land these shots on to Lazy Titan, and he does do enough damage. Lazy Titan just trying to jump off the map there, spawn with the rest of his team. it's going to be Linkzr taking him out before he can.
Linkzr was just being a good friend there. He wanted to push Lazy off the edge. He was actually helping him get to where he wanted with his hammer.
But now you see Zonda getting on the point here, ZP. They're just trying to cause some chaos, and he's going to use the Death Blossom. It's going to be able to get taken out there by Mafu. It's going to be Linkzr pushed up, pins one against the wall, and here comes a Nano Boost and a Graviton from Chinese Taipei. So they're not holding on to any of these ults. They're going for the defensive stand here.
I don't know if I like this from Chinese Taipei. They had really bad positioning as they rolled in here, and they're getting punished a bit by Finland. If it works out, it's going to be great. They're still going to be drained on a lot of ults, and it does look like it's working out. So in the end, it's good, but Finland, they're going to have ults coming up on their own. And if Chinese Taipei loses the next fight, they're going to be drained on ultimate to stop Finland when they'll be on their best possible push for last. So the jury is out on whether or not that was a good idea for Chinese Taipei. If they win the next fight, it was brilliant. If they lose the next fight, they might very well lose third right away. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, I mean, just by looking at where the ultimates are right now, I mean, Danny getting very close to a Blizzard for Chinese Taipei, but if Zappis can just use this Nano Boost here, and Finland's able to take this and just push the payload forward, you're looking, Mafu probably has a Graviton, you're looking at Taimu with another Deadeye. Yeah, you could have a lot of ultimates in favor for Finland, but they're taking their time here. Still a minute and 19 on the clock for them to get this next checkpoint. They're going to use that Nano Boost, and you see it's going to be Linkzr though, frozen right away. Inside of that May Blizzard from Danny, it's going to be Cine actually off the side of the map as well. So 2 players there dropping for Finland. The Graviton's going to come in from Mafu, and it looks like they're going to get nothing for it. The Graviton comes in now from Chinese Taipei and Lazy Titan, and they're able to pick up 2, and another good hold from Chinese Taipei. And here's where things get interesting, ZP. With only 50 seconds left, it's going to be just Cine with the sound barrier.
Chinese Taipei's gamble has paid off. They were able to win that next fight, and now Finland, they're going to be down to their final push. They have a sound barrier up in their ult bank. They might get an Earth Shatter, but that's going to be it. Zonda now with the key to potentially ending Finland right here, right now. Death Blossom is up and at the ready from Zonda. If he can just find a way piercing the back, and there he is, X. He is creeping to the back. This could be huge for Chinese Taipei.
Oh, and he has been so sneaky. There comes the Maywall, knows that Taimu is behind, and the sound barrier comes in, so he's just doing a good job getting back towards his teammates. He uses the Death Blossom, gets taken out before anything happens. You see the Earth Shatter come in there, knocking Taimu down. He's just going to be out of the fight as well. Danny uses the Blizzard. Now it's going to be the side of Finland trying to push through. Himsy needs to go big here. A fantastic bubble there from Lazy Titan, just keeping his teammate alive when that hook comes through. And now just negating this Roadhog here for Finland. It's just the Zarya, Lazy Titan for Chinese Taipei, going huge, and now you see, oh, it's going to be BBD falling off the map there, getting booped off by Cine, and can Finland push this ZP? They're getting close.
Finland is grinding this out. They're getting the kills they need to get, and they are overpowering Chinese Taipei here. But Chinese Taipei has bought themselves a lot of time, and Finland, they're still in overtime right here. They will be picking up the final bit of time, but they're not going to have much time going here at X. They only have a minute 30 remaining. And you take a look at this, they don't have that many ults in their war chest where they could just easily go through to the end. Now, this is a map here where really, this is the best attempt. When the gates are open, all your 6 can get in right away. After that, it becomes much harder to actually even get into this castle.
Yeah, and this is where, if you're Finland, you need to make things work, or you just need to at least, keep somebody like Taimu or some of your other players inside there alive for a while. He's going to just fly through, uses that pulse bomb, doesn't connect with anybody, puts down some damage though. And you see Taimu now on Tracer, just causing so much chaos for Chinese Taipei. The Blizzard though comes in from Danny. It's going to be Taimu putting a lot of pressure on Danny, so not allowing him to get closer and take out some of his teammates. And you see Taimu able to get Danny, and now you see Finland making the push.
This is the flawless victory that Finland needed. This is a great push right now. Everyone is still up. Himsy in the back, a little bit overextended, gets help from Zarya, but still in a weird position. Goes for the whole hug, is down to Zonda. Goes right to the back. Death Blossom Nano Boost in action, picks up 2. Looking for more, picks up the triple as Chinese Taipei strikes right back into Finland.
And I believe there I saw Cine getting Nano Boosted again, so I believe that's the second time we have seen Finland use their Nano Boost on Lucio. Some misclicks there, obviously, when the fight is going on, so difficult to kind of navigate which target you want a Nano Boost. And you see Danny pushing outside. Taimu needs to get back towards the payload to force this into overtime, and he makes it all the way to the back, but his teammates now blocked off by this Maywall. They're going to have to get a speed boost here to get back close towards it. And you see the Graviton come in from Mafu. He has a few players for Chinese Taipei trapped inside, but no kills go in Finland's favor.
It's Taimu versus the world for a moment there. Did buy enough time for Finland to get back in the card, but they are down 2. They're trying to stay here in this fight. Lucio gonna fall down, and Himsy Gonna try and grind this out for Finland, but his teammates are dying all around him as a beautiful Death Blossom comes out, sets up Chinese Taipei for 3 kills. They push out Finland, and now they have a chance to win the map and win the series if they just bring that payload to its final point.
Yeah, now Danny had some fantastic Mei play there in the first half. The defensive end was able to just put those walls off, separate the guys on Finland there. You saw at the end, I believe it was Taimu on. Tracer trying to get back towards the point, walls him off, cannot extend that OT. Just taking a look at some of the stats. Zonda again, man, 24 and 8 there in the first half on that Reaper. Since he has switched over to Reaper, the side of Finland has had nothing that they can do to stop that.
No, they haven't, and we've been seeing really good contribution coming out of multiple people on the Chinese Taipei team. And just to sort of elaborate as to what you mentioned on Danny there, he's been flexing on and off multiple roles. He has been playing good Roadhog. He has been playing a good Mei. Zonda has been incredibly consistent on DPS characters like Reaper, and that's not to say anything of the supports, where we saw really good plays come out of Eddie Boss all throughout the series. So for those who are wondering, what is about this Chinese Taipei team? I haven't seen much of them. Well, clearly they're bringing a very high level of play here for their country.
And you kind of knew coming into this exhibition, ZP, that you were going to see like one crazy upset that you didn't expect. And I feel like this one may be it, just with the vibe that you can get from just watching these two teams playing. A lot of people thought Finland would come in. I mean, myself, one of the favorites here. Chinese Taipei has really taken it to them here. And once you got to know a little bit more about Chinese Taipei, you could see it happening, right? I mean, Zonda, a fantastic player, playing other games professionally. If you can play other games professionally, usually you can transition, play at a high level on new titles, and then 5 members from the same team. You look, and this is kind of like a perfect storm for an upset.
It really is, but Finland, they're going to try their best to avoid that upset, and one of the best ways of doing that is getting the first point hold here on Eichenwald. It is one of the more defensible points, and take a look at Chinese Taipei. Their game plan is very simple. Look for an early pickoff. It's going to be Roadhog and Hanzo looking for that quick burst damage. Meanwhile, on the Finland side, they're going to be looking to control things, to slow it down. Reinhardt and Mei, full control of this archway as both teams now start to collide.
Yeah, now Zonda is huge here for Chinese Taipei, and you see right there, it's going to be Lazy Titan falling. He actually gets hooked, and then Taimu follows that up with a fantastic Mei wall, blocking off the rest of the Chinese Taipei from going in, trying to keep Lazy Titan alive, so it's going to force Chinese Taipei just play a little bit more passive here, but you see the damage that Zonda's putting down here as Hanzo, and you think just eventually he's going to be able to get one, and then they're going to have to push in fast.
And that's the key with Hanzo. All you need is one. Just one good headshot to start things off as Baby D takes down Mafu in the back. 5v5, but remember, as offense, you want to trade out like this. This is a great start for Chinese Taipei as Zonda's arrow hits the mark.
Yeah, now you see they're going to drop Cine as well, so that's huge, but it's going to be 4 kills going in favor of Finland. Linkser gets nano boosted. Now going on the chase, they're going to chase Zonda all the way back. So a very good hold there from Finland. It looked like Chinese Taipei was going to throw things in their favor, but it was Finland answering back with a quick nano boosted Reinhardt.
But here's the key, is that Taimu will buy some time here at the wall. Chinese Taipei does have a window of opportunity when they can get in before Finland is fully reinforced. Reinforcements are still rolling in. Finland not in the greatest position here. Chinese Taipei, they're going to rush in really quickly. They get the hook they're looking for. If they could convert, it would be huge.
Yeah, and it's going to be Zonda using his ultimate on Hanzo. He's able to get one with it. They're going to be able to survive the Blizzard as well. So you see Danny putting down a lot of damage here as Hog getting so close. He keeps connecting on these hooks, cannot just get a pick here. But Mafu and Co on Finland going to back up Chinese Taipei yet again here. So it's a fantastic defensive startup here for Finland. You were worried about them a little bit not being in position there. They're able to hold ZP. Chinese Taipei does hold on to some ultimates here though, so they're going to have a nano boost, they're going to have a sound barrier, a graviton surge, and a whole hog. Potentially an earth shatter going into this next fight.
Mafu had some great Zarya play there to pull that back as the rest of his team was rolling back in. Finland has reestablished. They have the defensive graviton. Chinese Taipei, their ult bank is loaded as well. And here we go. We're going to open up for the graviton. Mafu grabbing 4 people to start things out.
Yeah, but the sound barrier going to come in from Chinese Taipei, keep them alive for a little bit longer, but does not help them survive through all the damage that the side of Finland is pouring out, though. Mafu trying to keep Linkser alive, gets a little bit too aggressive there, trying to get into the Chinese Taipei base. They're able to keep him up, though. Mafu just putting down some damage, pre-firing that corner a little bit, just forcing Chinese Taipei to just heal up, giving his teammates some time as well to get in position.
And now both teams relatively even ult economy situations. Chinese Taipei, though, down to their final 2 pushes. They need to make something sooner rather than later. Lazy Titan holding on to the Graviton, rolls right to the back. Here's a Graviton of Chinese Taipei with the fall-off Earth Shatter, but it's not quite enough as Taimu is freezing the backline.
Yeah, every time Chinese Taipei has tried something with using these ultimate abilities, they've gotten nothing out of it. Right there, they use that Graviton, gets like 3 or 4 players in there, but Finland able to survive the fight. Finland there uses a nano boost, so they just have the sound barrier and the Graviton to work with, but all those ults we said Chinese Taipei had, they invest a lot of it into that last fight, ZP. Now you're just going to have the Death Blossom.
And we'll see if Zonda can be the hero once more, because Chinese Taipei, right now, they do need a hero. There's 35 seconds remaining. This is their last good push. They've come out with a Bastion just to mix things up. And this is a good distraction here, X. This might at least keep eyes off of Zonda as he works his way to the back to try and catch Finland off guard. But going against Sound Barrier and Graviton, this is going to be very rough indeed. And there's the Graviton.
Yeah, there comes the Graviton. It's going to be Danny on Bastion just trying to lay down some damage. He's able to get one, but Bastion right now does not provide any mobility to get them closer towards the point. Zonda, when he gets nano boosted, going to be put to sleep there. And you see the Earth Shatter coming in, Zonda getting hit with a kitchen sink. He's gonna fall. Den is gonna drop on Bastion. Just will go inside the point alive. Eddie Boss drops there at the hook and hands of Himsey. And it's gonna be Finland taking map number 2.
Finland coming back strong. They looked a little bit shaky on their attack on Eichenwald, but man, did they bring it back on the defense. They knew what they were doing going in. They held strong. They kept very good control at the Reinhardt and May the whole way through, and they just didn't give up any free picks at Chinese Taipei. And even when they were against the wall, you saw Mafu coming in with just a brilliant setup for the rest of his team to give them the chance to come back in.
And it's interesting. I think the one person people were kind of concerned about on the side of Finland was Linkser coming into this, right? You know, playing Reinhardt, going to be a little bit of a different role. 34-7 there on Eichenwald. 21,000 damage block, so a very good game on Reinhardt there out of Linkser.
And it's interesting for Linkser because when you think about Linkser, you think, oh, he's one of the best DPS in the game. He plays great projectile characters and all the rest. But sort of the nature of this exhibition where you do bring in so many prolific players from different countries is that you do have to flex a little bit, and Linkser's showing us that, hey, he might be more known for certain other characters and roles, but he's still very good when he wants to switch here to a tank. And I would actually expect him to prove more as the tournament goes forward, as he gets more experience in this role.
Yeah, now going into game number 3, ZP, I kind of, I'm just looking at both these teams, and they both have, like, different kinds of pressure on each other, right? I mean, Finland comes in as a favorite. They have the pressure now being taken to a game 3 by Chinese Taipei, and Chinese Taipei so close to causing this upset. I feel like a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Who, in your opinion, think has more to play for here in this game 3?
I think Chinese Taipei clearly wants to show just who they are and just how strong they are, but I think Finland, with all the expectations on them, with all the professional experience that they bring, they're feeling a lot of pressure going into this, but it also is to their advantage because I think about what wins maps like Lijiang Tower, having a world-class hit-scan player like Taimu and having the Roadhog play of a player like Himsey. I think it's going to edge them just a little bit over Chinese Taipei as they go into this next map.
And I do think, though, even regardless of what happens on this third map, I think this is a good match for both teams, right? I mean, you know, if you're Chinese Taipei, you definitely see where you are in just in terms of scope of the entire exhibition, like where you can play at, like what level. Like you have definitely taken it to Finland. You're not really scared of anybody going forward, I think. And then if you're Finland, I mean, this is a huge wake-up call, right? I mean, they come in pretty confident. They thought they were going to roll through people. That has not been the case.
I think it's interesting because we won't know the full extent of this matchup until we see these teams play another team later on in the group, because you could easily interpret it as either team being much stronger than anticipated or one team being weaker than anticipated. But if they go through and upset another team here in this group later on, it could say a lot about both these teams.
Yep, and I believe last map will be Lijiang Tower. So, you know, on a map like this, CP, I'm really looking at least for me, Taimu, like how he plays going into this one. And I think the story for Chinese Taipei has been Zonda. I think you're going to need a massive game out of Zonda if Chinese Taipei is going to win this.
You absolutely are going to need that massive game out of Zonda, but I do think Taimu might carry the keys to shutting that down, especially if he goes on a McCree. McCree, one of the characters that can really sort of isolate and take care of enemy DPS characters, and there's very few players with more one-on-one experience than Taimu, and we will be seeing Taimu come up on that McCree, and I'd expect him to sort of be hanging back a little bit, looking to punish Zonda wherever possible, and try and remove him from this game.
Yeah, and it'll be Finland looking to start things off probably with that 3-tank lineup. We've been seeing them, obviously, you know, some members of NIP on this team go with that pretty consistently. For Chinese Taipei, it'll be Danny on May and Zonda on Reaper. That is really what's been working for them here. It'll be game number 3 between Finland and Chinese Taipei. A huge match here at the Overwatch World Cup. This is a Chinese Taipei team that a lot of people probably before this match started probably thought Finland was just going to roll over. It has not been the case whatsoever. And here at the beginning you see Himsy putting down some nice damage, and they're able to separate that Reinhardt right from the initial fight there. They'll take out Zonda as well, and now you see Finland taking control of the map.
Well, it's like I mentioned early on, Taimu is going to be isolating out Zonda, and that's exactly what happens right in the beginning of the game. His main duty here is to stop Zonda, stop him from doing what he wants to do. Meanwhile, Himsy is going to be a consistent threat. He's not going to let Chinese Taipei move anywhere as freely as they want. So overall, I think Finland right now starting out strong and very well could stay strong depending on how they play the rest of this.
Yeah, it'll be very difficult for Chinese Taipei to get inside and break this point. You see just the hooks coming in from Himsy, and it's going to be Danny figuring out how to use those main walls to separate the opponents inside this close quarters, and it's going to be Taimu using that Deadeye, just backing Chinese Taipei up. Felt some pressure coming in from the opposing team, and a fantastic Maywall coming in. You saw Taimu in perfect position to take out Zonda there with that boost, just not able to get in that position. So you see the interesting ways you can use Maywalls, but as that's going on, you see players inside of the point for Finland starting to drop. It looked like Finland was going to be able to hold on, but it's going to be Zonda pushing through. Ayla take out 2. It's going to be Eddie Ball to 1. A nice knockoff there of Zonda by Cine. Oh, does he get the others? No, they barely stay on the map, trying to just stay alive inside of the point. Does a nice job, though, extending that, earning some more time for Finland.
That was great on Danny, where right before he died, he was able to get the Blizzard off and really pull that fight out of nowhere for Chinese Taipei, because up to that point, Finland was doing great. One thing you should notice is that Taimu was able to take a lot of damage on the Zonda there, where even though Zonda did get that nano boost, if you're really weak HP-wise before you actually get it, it's difficult to commit. So we're going to be seeing more of that going forward, but still, a good retake here by Chinese Taipei, and they have a Graviton here to set up this next fight.
They're going to have get close to a Death Blossom as well, it looks like, and they'll have an Earth Shatter too. So Chinese Taipei with that ultimate advantage here early, and see Mafu gonna get sucked into a Graviton, gonna drop a Graviton of his own. Maywall coming in to just block Finland inside of this small courtyard. Zonda with 4 kills there. Taimu's able to take him out, but Finland on the retreat, barely staying alive here. It looks like Taimu will eventually fall. It looks like Zappa's going to get out with his life, but the damage already done as Chinese Taipei coming back here in our first point.
That was a huge team fight win for Chinese Taipei, just because of the fact that both teams threw all their ultimates at each other. You never want to lose an ult showdown, and Chinese Taipei did not. Finland now going to have to come through here. Not a whole lot of ults to their name. They're going to have to be going into a blizzard, so the weather report isn't exactly kind to them either. We'll see if they can clutch out. If they do, it's probably going to be off a quick MC hook, but other than that, Chinese Taipei in a great position here for this fight.
Yeah, and I think if you're Finland, I mean, you got to wait for Cine to get that sound barrier and really play around that. I mean, that's that sustainability you need to get inside, but it's going to be Danny using that Blizzard, dropping down a fantastic Maywall, eliminating one of the exits for Finland, just going to back them up. They pick up 1 kill on the Lingzer, and now it's going to be Chinese Taipei taking the fight to Finland. It's going to be Taimu using that Deadeye, though. With the sound barrier, they're able to take out 2, and now Finland may be able to swing this in their favor.
Finland, they're able to weather the storm, pull back, get the kills they need, and they are just grinding down Chinese Taipei right now. They're not going to be able to hold on to this fight. But that was a do-or-die situation for them there, X, because you take a look at the percentages here. Chinese Taipei only needs to win 1 more team fight here to take this round. So Finland, their backs are against the wall. They must win every fight from here on out. But hey, with Nano Boost and Graviton on deck, they have a lot of ways of stopping Chinese Taipei right here.
Yeah, now Lingzer switches things up. He goes from Reinhardt now over to Winston, just getting a little bit more aggression. You're going to see Zappas use that Nano Boost onto Lingzer as he's just going to get into the enemy side of the map. And you see Danny's going to get Nano Boosted onto Mei, so just putting down a lot of damage. He has a Blizzard as well. It's going to be a Graviton coming in from Chinese Taipei as they're winning a lot of these engagements. ZP is going to be Lingzer just trying to stay alive. Jumps up in the sky. He's going to fall. It's going to be Chinese Taipei getting on the point here. This could be our first point going to Chinese Taipei here shortly.
It is almost certainly going to be the first point going there. Finland might be able to cause overtime here, but they won't even be able to do that. And the key there is that Finland, even though they had an edge ult-wise going into that last fight, they still overextended a bit. And you take a look back at Temple Anubis, where Taimu was a bit out of position. I feel like that's somewhat of a trend developing with Finland, where when they have an advantage, sometimes they just overtake it a little bit, and it kind of bit them there. Now, this is, of course, a best out of 5 round-wise here on Lijiang. Plenty of time for Finland to bring it back, but you got to think that they're not feeling super great about losing that first round.
No, not at all. In that first round, you saw Lazy Titan go 14-2 on Zarya, doing a fantastic job keeping the supports for Chinese Taipei alive. With both supports combined, Eddie Boss and Lilgo, they only died 1 time there. in that first point. Finland has to be feeling the pressure right now. Chinese Taipei 2 rounds here on Lijiang Tower away from taking this series.
So you do see a switch up here. Part of it is that the control center is much more friendly to Reaper than it is McCree. But Zonda can be a little bit more freer here. He doesn't have to worry about the McCree isolation. It's going to be pure Reaper on Reaper action. And Taimu think he's going to bring the better Reaper of the two, as right now, Finland doing a little bit better on this poke war.
Yeah, now you see Himsy on Roadhog, just laying down a hook there, not able to get anybody, just kind of poking and prodding behind enemy lines here. He sees Danny there for a second. Danny puts himself in his ice cube, just trying to stay alive here. And now Himsy finally connects on a hook, though. They're going to be able to take out Baby Nai, and now it's going to be an advantage for Finland.
Finland off that first pickoff, they're going to restabilize. They get 2 kills. They're about to get their 3rd. So they're in a good position here. And what that means is that usually when you win the first fight pretty convincingly, you will have an advantage going to the next fight. Not quite as much as you might expect here, though. They will have Earth Shatter, Nano Boost, Sound Barrier. Chinese Taipei going to be a little bit waiting on that Sound Barrier. So for them, one of their best options here would just be go for a Junk Rush, get wiped by Finland using their ultimates, and then come back right after. But either way, Finland probably going to have 40% at least before Chinese Taipei is able to retake this. But hey, yeah, Danny has Blizzard. Here we go.
I was going to say you actually could use the Nano Boost and combine it with that Blizzard and see if you can make something happen here for Chinese Taipei. And Zonda gets through. He's able to take out 2, but you see Taimu in your kill feed at the top right. He's able to win 2 engagements for Finland. And now he's going to work his way back towards the point. He's got 2 teammates there in support, so a fairly easy hold there for Finland through those Chinese Taipei ultimates. They survive. And now Chinese Taipei, this next fight, they use that Nano Boost in the Blizzard, but they will have a Death Blossom. They'll have a Graviton Surge to use on this next one.
Chinese Taipei is in a great position here. Even though they used the Blizzard and they didn't quite win the fight, they still have a lot of ult in reserve. They're going to be coming with the Sound Barrier, Graviton, Death Blossom, everything on the table. And now they just roll right into Finland as Zonda picks up the quick double kill.
Make it 3 for Zonda. He uses the Death Blossom. He's going to be quickly put to sleep there. And just a fantastic job for Chinese Taipei, protecting him there while he's on the ground, lets himself wake up from that nap, get back on the point. Finland gets 65% in their favor here early, and now Chinese Taipei gets control. They're going to push pretty far up, and I wonder if they're going to play a pretty aggressive defense here, ZP. Use this Mei wall to their advantage to try and separate this push of Finland. They do that initially, now they back out. I like the decision, you make one wrong move there, you get wiped, and then the map goes to Finland.
Absolutely, and you take a look at Finland right now, they do have Earth Shatter and Nano Boost up. That Nano Boost could go to Linkser, or Linkser though, open up here with the Earth Shatter, but the Blizzard does so much in the back. 3 people have died now from Danny and the positioning, but Taimu doing the same in the backline. It is the Taimu and Danny show right now between the both of them. Still though, it is Chinese Taipei with a little bit more of an edge. They push Finland out and they're gonna hold.
Yeah, and Eddie Boss has done a fantastic job just playing behind that cover as Anna, keeping his teammates alive, keeping himself out of position where, the enemy team can just whether connect with a Roadhog hook or able to take him out. Doing a fantastic job using Anna's kit to the best of her abilities, just keeping that healing going at range. And you see they're actually going to wall off Linkser there, so it looks like you're going to see Chinese Taipei try and engage pretty quick.
They are going to try and engage pretty quick. The Ice Wall almost trapped 1 out for Finland. Finland having to give this Mei a lot more respect than I think they really wanted to early on. They do have the Whole Hog and Death Blossom mapped already, but Ice Wall's playing them off once more. Still, Mafu gets rid of the problem. Danny's down. Zonda is down, and Taimu starts spinning. It's 2 quick picks here from the side of Finland, and they will be retaking this right here, X.
Yeah, but Chinese Taipei gets a lot on the board there, ZP. They get up to 72%. You'll see Finland quickly answer that. They'll tie it and then move past it here before the next fight ensues. But you see how aggressive Himsy is getting, and you see the Nano Boost coming in there for Finland. It's going to be Linkser getting up towards the Chinese Taipei base, and you see it's going to be 2 kills for Finland. They're doing a nice job just taking the fight to them because they know they wiped them here, ZP. It's going to be very difficult for Chinese Taipei to get back and make a good push.
With only about 10% left here for Chinese Taipei, they're going to have to get someone to get through and actually touch a point. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to speed boost Sound Barrier, but they're going to run right in. Well, they're going to Graviton Finland, in fact, try and hold in the back, try and buy some time to get on the point, but they lose lazy time for it, and they're not able to get the overtime in progress. So Finland striking right back, 1-1 here on Lijiang.
Well, no, what they did there is they tried to use the Sound Barrier with that speed boost, and they used the Graviton. Great idea, right? But on the other side of things, Himsy has that Roadhog, Whole Hog, and it's just knocking Chinese Taipei back. The speed boost, they were not able to get by, not able to touch the point. Finland takes the 2nd point here on Lijiang Tower.
Really, for Chinese Taipei, they didn't have a whole lot of options left at that point. What they did was probably the best option to try and get through. But when you're not running a Tracer, when you're not running anything that can get overtime, and when you're just If they had 5% more X, that actually could have been a completely different fight, but unfortunately, time was not on their side.
Nope, not at all, ZP. It's tied at 1 apiece here on Lijiang Tower. Going into this third point. Not now. Are we gonna? All right. Well, we're gonna see Bastion here for Chinese Taipei. It's like, well, they're playing with house money. It's like nobody expected to be here. Let's do something crazy. Bring Bastion to the party, and it's gonna be Danny putting down a lot of damage here at range. Has his Reinhardt directly in front of him, putting that shield up. And Finland's probably caught completely off guard by this. They have no idea how to attack it.
Danny, a man of many talents, and right now Finland is caught a little bit off guard. They're losing the poke war because of this Bastion. Lynx are going to be the first to fall as Reinhardt shield just could not withstand. As Danny right now laying in the damage, pushing back Finland, and this Bastion X has done his job.
Oh, I mean, it has worked to perfection here early for Chinese Taipei. And I wonder, ZP, is it like something where off the rip, right, you can use it and really catch Finland off guard, and then you got to switch off of it early, or are they just going to kind of commit to this Bastion? It'll be interesting if we see Danny drop what he goes with it, and how do we see Finland counter this?
For Finland, they just need to catch a Bastion off guard. They are still running the Roadhog. One good hook is all it takes. And also, I think if Finland does take this back X, you're going to see the Bastion go away, just because he's good for the early fight and good for contesting, good for holding, but not so great for retaking. But here we go. Taimu going to the back. Sound Barrier is out, looking for that all-important first kill. Does not have it here yet, as Chinese Taipei giving him a little bit of a runaround, but still, first 2 kills going here the way of Finland.
Yeah, it's going to be Finland cleaning up the members of Chinese Taipei. You actually saw Chinese Taipei use their nano boost on tank mode. Bastion did not work. Zonda's going to go for a ride off the side of the map. Now Chinese Taipei will reset, and it looks like Danny's still going to be on Bastion. So it works early, ZP. I don't know if I would commit to it for an extended period of time, but it looks like they're going to go with it one more fight at least.
I'm a little bit surprised by this, just because when we've seen teams run Bastion on this point before, it's really hard to make it work when retaking the point. Teams can play around it much more. There's a lot of room to maneuver here on the Garden stage, so we'll see if it works out. They're going to try and set this up here with a Graviton into Death Blossom. So ult-wise, it's not too bad for Chinese Taipei. The question is, can they get Danny to the fight? But he takes down Linkser. 65 is underway.
Yeah, big first kill there from Danny. Still running Bastion. Zonda has that Death Blossom. Doesn't really need to use it, though. He's able to pick up 2. The Graviton comes in, and he's going to use it at the end of this fight. I feel like they would have won that regardless. I think he probably could have held on to that one, but Zonda's feeling it right now, picks up the remaining players on Finland, and now they set it with Bastion yet again.
That was an explosion by Zonda towards the end, and honestly, I think it's catching Linkser a little bit off guard. This is where more veteran Reinhardts kind of know how to deal with this, but I doubt Linkser has done the entire Reinhardt v Bastion setup here, where he got picked off earlier in the map, got picked off there again. I don't think he really needed to get picked off, so right now for Danny, this is really catching Linkser off guard, but look at this. 5 ultimates banked up here for Finland. They have all the power in the world as they roll in. This is going to be hard for Chinese Taipei to win this fight.
Yeah, but it looks like Finland is just kind of trapped behind this pillar right here, just does not know how to attack this Bastion setup. You're going to have Himzy switch over to Genji. Obviously, Genji a fantastic counter to Bastion, but it's going to be Danny taking him out early. And look, Finland's just trapped behind that pole, ZP. They can't get out. And it looks like Taimu is going to be able to get one, but it's going to be the rest of Chinese Taipei chasing down the members on Finland. And Finland's going to pick up 2 kills here late in the fight. It's going to be important for Danny to just keep this fire constantly coming, forcing Finland back.
So the part where that went bad for Finland is they couldn't speed boost at Sound Barrier, and Lynx Husseini got picked off early. Here we go, though. Nano boost going in here on the tank. Not able to get too much right now. Graviton limiting his mobility severely, but towards the latter in the fight, takes down Mafu. It's a double kill for Chinese Taipei, but the ultimate to Finland just too much. Nano boosted Reaper to the rescue. That's going to be a 4K for Taimu.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that make Bastion immobile. Just being Bastion, he is immobile, but right there, he was put in a position with the Graviton where he could not move in tank mode, only able to get 2 players. Taimu comes in with the Death Blossom, picks up the rest, but Chinese Taipei gets 97% on the score. You see they have a very good chance if they win one of these next team fights, they're able to close this out. It's going to be Himzy starting things off, though, with 2 big kills with the Dragon Blade. He's going to get a 3rd. Mafu and Lynx are coming in, cleaning up some more players. Eddie Boss, the only one alive. Finally, he falls. So a full team wipe there for Finland, but Chinese Taipei, they do have that Earthshatter to work with here in this next fight.
They will have that Earthshatter. Himzy switches to the Genji. Even though Roadhog is decent for catching Bastion out of place, Genji a little bit better for applying pressure. And now it will all come down to this last fight. You take a look, there's going to be Graviton, Earthshatter up for Chinese Taipei. Finland relatively bankrupt on ultimates, and the fight is underway.
Yeah, and you see Danny just trying to lay down some fire. Knows Himzy's behind him, just trying to hope he can put down enough damage to just make a difference as Bastion, but he is going to fall. Linkser swinging his hammer inside the point, doing a ton of work as well. and it's just going to be all down to Zonda trying to stay alive as Tracer keeping this overtime going. And it looks like they're just having a difficult time tracking him. Finally, they're able to take him out, but it's going to be Bastion just around the corner as you see the Graviton come in. He's not able to get close towards the point. And I liked Bastion at the beginning, CP. Towards the end, I started to have mixed feelings about it. I think he probably could have switched there.
He absolutely should have switched, especially when Timsy was on the Genji and really getting his face. By the way, I love the Graviton spot that Mafu went there for. It's pretty common to see nowadays, but you throw the Graviton at the wall, you pull people to their death. Unfortunately, of course, or probably fortunately for Finland, they'd already won the map, so for us, the viewer, we didn't get to see it, but it's still a cool Graviton spot.
Yeah, no, it's one of those plays where you see that happen on Reddit, and then you go into the game and you try it yourself. Does not work as intended, but they try it there at the end. And it will be Finland up 2-1 here on Lijiang Tower in our third map here. Chinese Taipei has played absolutely amazing up to this point. We saw, them put a good showing on the first point here when we got there originally on Lijiang. Look for them to really put a good foot effort forward here. So you see it's going to be Zonda on your screen now, trying to get forward as Reaper. Just putting down a lot of shots. It looks like Chinese Taipei, instead of taking this mid-map control ZP, they're going to go and set back up by the point.
They are going to the point, and Danny able to land that shot on the Sandy. Sandy gets picked off early, and when you're down to Lucio early on King of the Hill, it makes it really difficult to recover. Himsy has not been able to equalize this yet, has not gotten a pick off, and even though Finland is laying in the poke damage, Chinese Taipei in a vastly superior position right now. That hook's going to miss, and Chinese Taipei, they should be able to hold this for at least 20%.
I mean, just by getting that first kill from Danny onto Cinny, they're able to just take the first part of this point. Now you see the nano boost coming in on Baby Nine, just doing a lot of damage. Mafu's able to handle him, but just causes so much chaos on the Finland side of things. They need just a second to reset before they go in, try and take the point.
And now Finland applying the pressure. It's Himsy really opening it up with two great hooks. Chinese Taipei on the back foot. Zonda trying to make anything happen here in the back. Is outgunned, and there's Himsy once more. Free hugs for everyone, says Himsy, as his Roadhog is just cracking open this point.
Yeah, and it's going to be Finland able to get back control. So Chinese Taipei, just at the beginning of this, does a good job getting that map control, led by Danny getting that first pick on a Cine. But now you see Chinese Taipei trying to break here ZP. They do have the Blizzard, they have a Sound Barrier and a Graviton. You expect to see at least two of those here. You're going to see the Sound Barrier. You're going to see Himsy fall first, and the Graviton comes in, and you see Lazy Titan picking up two. This should be fights that you think Chinese Taipei can win. They just need to get back towards that point and get control.
When you get a fight set up that well by a Graviton Sound Barrier, it's really hard to actually lose it. Taipei when the last one's remaining, nothing you can do in that situation. Just as good as McCree you might be, just not enough room to maneuver. So Chinese Taipei will be retaking the point, and otherwise they still have tools for the next fight. Danny has been very on point on his Blizzards, and oh no, Himsy once more coming in on Zonda, but he's not able to land the burst damage. Zonda stays alive, in no small part due to Eddie Boss just healing him there, and as a result, Chinese Taipei going to delay Finland even more.
Yeah, Zonda doing a fantastic job staying alive, had some teammate support there. Taimu just coming out of nowhere, had Zappis there for support. Just a fantastic play by Finland, and you see Taimu's going to use that Deadeye, not going to get anything for it, but Mafu going to clean up Lilgo, as now you see this Lucio for Chinese Taipei down. Now you see Finland trying to make a push towards the point.
Finland in a great position here, in part due to that pickoff by Taimu. He read Zonda like a book, went right in, and Finland, they will be retaking this point, but their margin for error here is pretty much gone. At 75% for Chinese Taipei, they're one team fight away basically from winning this. Maybe Finland gets an overtime push, but even then it's going to be rough. So Finland, really they have to win the next 4 fights in a row, and they're going to have to be very good in their ult economy to do this, because if they waste too many ults to win a fight, Chinese Taipei should be able to punish them and win this map.
Yeah, we need to see Finland use a little bit of patience, CP, right? I mean, we talked a little bit about it on Temple of Anubis. They got a little bit aggressive, and they end up giving up that point to Chinese Taipei. Is how we find ourselves here in the third map, and it's going to be Zonda getting that nano boost, has the Death Blossom as well. Has not found a great spot to use it. Linkser knocks him down, pins him up against the wall, and then he's quickly dealt with by Taimu. Taimu with 2 big kills on McCree, starting to heat up ZP. Taimu with 50 kills, 9 deaths at this moment in time, going absolutely huge here on our third map.
That is one thing that fans of Overwatch should not be surprised at. Taimu going huge, one of the more consistent players in the scene. And really, this could be his game right now. 20% left remaining. If Finland can hold this, that would be great for them. Linkser takes down Danny early on this fight. Him's at the follow through. 2 members of Chinese Taipei are down. And Finland, one more team fight away, X, from taking the map and the series.
And you see Zonda gets nano boosted there towards the end, but it is not enough to keep him alive. Anyboss with a sleep dart, but the Graviton comes in for Finland. And they get control. ZP 99. It is going to tick in Finland's favor. They take the map in the series 2-1 over Chinese Taipei.
And that was the thing, is that fight lasted a little bit too long towards the end, so Chinese Taipei didn't even get that final push. Finland coming out strong, able to fix their mistakes, and that being said, what a great series between both teams.
Yeah, now you saw Taimu finish 52-10. Mafu, though, on Zarya, making some big plays, goes 53-8 as Finland narrowly escapes Chinese Taipei 2-1. Incredible series from both teams. Let's hear more about it from the desk.
Whew, thank you so much, Mr. X and ZP. That was a hell of a match to cast and a really, really amazing game to see how that all went down. So, guys, want to start us off with a bit of a breakdown, a little overhead before we get into the nitty-gritty details?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were talking up the praises of Finland, but I think we should sing a little bit of praises for Chinese Taipei to begin with. Throughout the whole series, we were looking at a number of players. Lazy Titan certainly comes to mind on the Zarya, some real big plays from him. Obviously Zonda, we mentioned Zonda right at the start, constantly getting the Reaper Copter going over and over again with the Nano Boost.
Yeah, that was quite important there as well. But even in situations where Zonda had to play in a little bit more of a low economy situation where you don't actually get a nano boost, you don't even get as Eye Shield or a speed boost sometimes. The old-fashioned sort of Reaper there. He also showed that he could dive a backline and just use direct fire with that ult to get work done there as well. I think Temple of Manubis was just a testament to the strength of Chinese Taipei there as well, especially on that second hold. You know, the speed they're able to come back forward and retake the point, I really have to call out. I think Baby now played that one generally quite well. There's a bit of a slight gaff, which I want to look at a little bit later on for those who maybe not sure about how to play the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt chess game. But Danny going for that Mei on the point. I mean, it's hard to deal with. It is Mei. She, you know, cuts off a lot of space and makes it very, very hard for attacking teams to establish. And that was a big part of that first map.
Yeah, here we have the replay of Lazy Titan. It's a great Graviton surge. And he's just dealing so much damage. That Mei, I mean, they're just blowing everything here, and it's just worked out for them. Really pretty.
Nano v Nano.
Something we noticed actually was Lazy Titan got nano boosted quite a few times in there. It wasn't just Zonda getting the love from
Yeah,
Yana.
that's quite unusual to see the Zarya nano boosted, but it worked out for them. I mean, Lazy Titan is very impressive so far.
Yeah, and it does obviously give you a pretty respectable amount of damage increase. You can even hear it while you're using the particle cannon. It revs up even more. But this was Zonda just doing Zonda things. He's going full Apache here. Just the one kill on the point here, but you can see that both times Chinese Taipei didn't have any problems really getting their ducks in a line when they went towards his first point specifically. It seemed like Finland weren't able to hold them at bay here at all.
Yeah, it was the struggle, and obviously with Finland only capping out in overtime, it gave them 0 time to hold it. They just had to try and hang on in there, and obviously we saw Taimu Widowmaker making a number of adjustments. Obviously on McCree here, on the Widowmaker on the attack.
I like this.
Wasn't as much this time around, catching Zonda unawares there with a quick flashbang to the face. But unfortunately, they did turn out losing, which is really was the big surprise for us. Obviously Finland on the restart, they weren't able to cap out. They did struggle a heck of a lot, whereas you saw Zonda. The thing for me, Chinese Taipei, they were very efficient when they're attacking, whereas Finland were kind of like a bit of dribs and drabs.
Well, was that a little bit there of the organized play of a 5-man +1 team and the disorganized, or slightly less organized, it was by no means disorganized, play of a bunch of pros coming together?
Overall, I think this play style from the Asian teams, they've just proven that they just play a more synchronized style, very good team coordination. So I'm really looking forward to see what Chinese Taipei.
I think it obviously helps with 5 members of AHQ all being together, so it's a well-practiced, oiled machine. It seems.
I mean, there are 5 members, but at the same time, you're not seeing these guys going off on their own, trying to make flashy plays. You're seeing more a team just together trying to make something happen.
This is where the game turned as well here. I mean, what you see on the screen. Now, Danny does get himself the tank mode ultimate, but look who comes spinning straight on through. Taimu there on that Reaper. And the best part about it is that Taimu does later on as well sort of start to change up his picks a little bit more. This is a situation in one of the few we saw Himsy switch towards the Genji. Now, people who know Linksa might find that quite strange, and it does seem as if that Finland feel or look to be a little bit hedged into some of those team roles, John.
Yeah, and that's of course one of the bad things about having to put Zini on the Lucio here, is that you have Mafu and Himsy on those flex and second DPS role, while you have Lynx on the tank. I would have liked to see Lynx maybe swap to that Genji instead. I mean, just put Himsy on a Winston, for example. I mean, it's something that's very doable, and you have Lynx, who's just a top 5 Genji in the world on a role he knows very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple moments there where you guys really saw some impressive play from some of these guys, and I know, Mitch, you pointed out some of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something interesting to see as well. Reinhardt versus Reinhardt is a... Well, I mean, normally you would introduce something like this, right, of course, Johnny, but, you know, we talked about it a little bit as well, and I do want your thoughts on this one now as well. Knowing how to shield off that Earth Shatter. I actually think that this is something that Huck did quite well in his game for Canada, and actually is fairly good at doing. But we can roll this clip now as well and see this is actually Lynx coming forward now, attacking in towards Chinese Taipei. Now, note this as well. He's going to go for the Earth Shadow. Now, that shield was up. You notice that shield was technically up there, but the sound travels at 330 meters per second, right? You need to realize that this is actually a wave. This is actually a wave ability, right? This isn't instant. So even though your shield is up when the animation of the hammer coming down is there, it does go out in a bit of a cone, Johnny. You need to hold your shield up for a little bit longer than just the animation.
You need to hold it for a bit, 1 to 2 seconds there. I do feel a bit sorry for the tank. Sorry, I'm blanking out on his name.
Baby Knee.
Baby Knee, yeah. It sucks when that happens. I mean, but overall, I think we saw 2 good tanks, you know, with a great showing.
Absolutely, and there were some play. Thank you so much, by the way, for your pro player insight onto this. That's one of those things that when that happens to me in game, I'm like, what the hell this happened?
Yeah.
So it's really important to think about these little details when you're playing at this level.
Mind games are real when you're dealing with Reinhardts, and then if you take into account like maybe there could be a flashbang thrown here or something like that. So you need a lot of mental fortitude to play that role out as well. And you know, when we watch Reinforced, we talk about the way he plays as well. A lot of people like he's quite aggressive, you know, but we talk about that's his style as well.
Very skilled, so handsome,
well,
very pleasant to be around.
You don't need to think as much. You don't need to be that technical.
I never said that. I never said that. But I mean, the way that he plays out that tank role, very different to someone like Coco, for example, who plays really passively. And so all these things are very stylistic. But what's most important at the end of the day is that you know where the enemy Reinhardt is. You know about how much of that Earth Shadow they've got, or if they have that available, and then how to respond to that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about our DPS players too. Taimu making huge steps in this game here, but totally supported by his team. I think some of the great plays on Lijiang Tower we saw from him. So do you have anything to speak to that?
I for one, really appreciated him swapping to that McCree. I disagreed with Finland for a while. They were sticking to that triple tank composition on Lijiang, despite facing a Mei Reaper composition. But Taimu really bringing out that McCree. I mean, it's just the perfect counter for both Reaper and for both Mei. So I really appreciated Taimu picking out that McCree, and he did a lot of work.
And that's actually something that Rogue really learned actually when they were over in China. We saw AKM actually start to play a lot more McCree, and all of a sudden they're looking a lot better. So a lesson learned, I guess, for those wondering how to deal with that quite strong lineup of having a Mei and Reaper, that McCree can give them trouble from short, medium to long range.
Or it could just be like Twick and just bring out the Pharah, you know. As an option as well, I'm just saying.
Hard mode, but yes.
Yeah, so I picked out a clip. If we could take a look at that on
let's talk about Danny. Danny was the man at the time, wasn't he? On the Mei, I believe.
So here we see a fight. We're looking at the Chinese Taipei right now. They don't have a lot of ultimates. They just spent all their ultimates to win that final push on the second point here. And they used that Mei ult tactically very well. They're just standing back here. They're not going aggressive at all. They're making Finland go into them. They're just standing back and luring in. And they're buying so much time for this now to build these new ultimates, and then you get the Graviton Surge and you're just running through. So I think this is an example of Chinese Taipei just buying time with a Mei ultimate, and they're playing beautifully. And this is what I appreciate with Chinese Taipei here. They're standing back, they're taking the time, and they're just being very organized.
And it's something you obviously you allude to there, that that was what, 50 seconds, I think, 40 seconds left before they actually hit the doorway. Now, Lynx actually switched from Reinhardt which I'm not sure you'd be quite able to get away from this one. Switched away from Reinhardt and switched to Genji. I'm pretty sure Wins would give you some pretty flack for this if you did this. But yeah, you switched away and went to Genji, and that's the only way they actually managed to win out Eichenwald. They got that point in overtime.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that on Rogue in your scrims?
Well, they say I'm the second best Genji in the team, but I don't think that's enough to
that's because AKM says
swap.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a title, the second best Genji. Well, you know what? We just saw this match between Finland and Chinese Taipei, and we have Jason on the sidelines with IDDQD from Sweden to give us his take on this matchup. And this sounds weird, right? But we have to remember that IDD has been walking around this venue this whole time. He said two things. Finland is their biggest opposition, and you gotta play mind games. So I can't wait to hear what IDDQD has to say about his opponents.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear as well. So joined by IDDQD here, the captain of Team Sweden. And first of all, we gotta ask you, how does it feel to just be here in general?
Amazing. It's been amazing so far. Everything about it has just been like respectable towards the players. Blizzard takes really good care of their players when they want to be, and yeah, just amazing run so far.
Okay, so let's talk about your team in particular first, really quickly. We can kind of transition into some other areas. We heard you guys were struggling a little bit when we first started like scrimming and such, but how has the team kind of progressed since then?
The problem was obviously South Korea. They are, like, a lot of people tend to say Sweden are favorites, but like playing them, I have a ton of respect for them. They play, like, they're super sharp in their movement, and like they don't really make any mistakes. They're like, I don't know, it's like playing against bots. They just don't do mistakes. It's really fun to play too.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take your mic here real quick because I think my mic did die. But you mentioned South Korea. Is there any other teams out there you're looking for as being like a good opponent for you to guys match up against?
Chinese Taipei and Finland, obviously.
Okay, so why Chinese Taipei? We just saw them play. They did unfortunately lose to Finland, but had actually a really good match in general. What is it about their team that kind of has you guys a little bit worried?
They execute aggression very, very good. They tend to use, like, overstorm you with, like, you know, Genji, Tracer, Monkey, and they just keep rolling you over. And if you're not coordinated enough, they're going to take you off guard. And that's what kind of makes them dangerous.
Okay, and you did mention before that you're kind of pitted as, like, the favorites for this. Does that put extra pressure on you guys?
A little bit. Am I getting this back?
Yeah, we're doing a quick switcheroo.
Yeah, switcheroo. Sorry, question again?
So you guys, you said earlier that you guys are like pitted as the favorites of the group and the entire exhibition. Does that put extra pressure on you guys?
Not as much being the favorites. It's more like representing Sweden and trying to take it home for Sweden. That's the pressure part. Playing the game, I think we all have, you know, we're pros in Sweden and we've all done this before. I don't think a lot of us get nervous at all. But the pressure thing about representing Sweden is probably the one that gets me a little bit nervous, if anything.
And speaking of the pressure as well, like for instance, your mother, we did see in one of the videos, at first wasn't necessarily as supportive as you would like to have hoped, but after seeing you win a couple tournaments, she really started to come along. Does that also make you want to like win for her in particular?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the beginning, she wasn't really, you know, as you said, very supportive. She was kind of, you know, laid back, and she's like, no, it's probably not a good idea. You should probably focus on studying, if anything. Seeing me on stream, seeing me on TV, and, you know, doing well in tournaments has kind of flipped her opinion around. So now she's like my #1 biggest fan, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, of course, I want to take it home for her. Absolutely.
I think even your dogs are rooting for you too. But what about friends in Sweden? It's got to be amazing for them to look at this and see, wow, you know, the guy I knew in high school or the guy I knew in class is a professional player. He's playing to represent our region.
Definitely. I mean, I've heard a lot of people like try to reach out to me, but you know, I'm in another country, so I don't really get the messages. But there's been a lot of like people cheering for me, friends obviously as well.
Okay, so let's talk about, I guess, your hero pool a little bit, because I want to bring this back to the actual matches, because we know you're a prolific McCree player, and I know you've talked about it a lot in the past, but what is it about McCree that you just love? You always seem to play him.
He reminds me kind of, you know, I used to play Quake back in the days, and there was a weapon called Railgun, and it's essentially the same thing, just that McCree's weapon is like a faster type of Railgun, and it just kind of stuck with me. His skill set kind of, you know, I don't know, I just love him as a character, hit scan abilities, like, you can do so much on McCree. So
you're saying if there was another hit scan hero that came out eventually, you might potentially be playing that one as well?
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, so what about your playstyle, McCree? I know at the Takeover tournament we did do, I believe you said you play a really aggressive McCree. This was back before the right-click, the fan of the hammer was changed around a little bit, and the damage was nerfed. I think it's safe to say. But how would you classify yourself? And like, how would you classify, for instance, Eska as being on South Korea?
I do remember I used to play like a very type aggressive playstyle back at Tech TV, but I mean a lot of it came from the fact that right click was kind of broken. The mechanic was just ridiculous at the time. So I mean you could literally go and kill 2 and die, and you would still do like a favorable trade. Today it's more like based on left clicking, and that's kind of the adjust I kind of try to do early on. I mean, kind of know for the left clicking more than the right clicking. So I think it's been like in my favor lately with the meta shifts, you know, all the balances back and forth. How does it compare like in terms of game style? I mean, South Korea's McCree, you know, he plays like he knows when to go in and get the kill. He knows when to move back. He's like very good on the positioning. But I feel like I play somewhat similar, a little bit more passive. I just don't go in. I tend to stay back and just play it safe.
And we see, like, for instance, Russia, they play, well, they say they don't play a lot around Shadowburn. We saw a little bit differently. Do you think Sweden plays around you a little bit to help facilitate? I mean, you guys are literally a team of all-stars.
Definitely not. I think, I mean, if anything, I think we play around both me, Tvik, and Sebasai, actually. I mean, Sebasai currently playing for Misfits as a support, but we put him on Flex. That's kind of the spot that I always wanted to put him on, because I think he shines the most on Flex, like, you know, play Zarya, anything that we need. We always have Tvik. It's like, it's amazing to play with him again. Like, back in Rogue, it was the same feeling. Like, we had two carriers being able, if, you know, one of them died, we'd still have, like, one to go, and hopefully. And it's exactly the same thing now playing in Sweden. I think we all play around each other, to be honest.
And, I mean, would you? I'm really curious how everyone else kind of feels about the team. So unfortunately, we can't have them all out here. But you know, Tvik, he's been one of those players that's super focused on the game. When we were there for the Overwatch APAC tournament, he would literally play after the entire team has left and just continue grinding out. Is he still doing that here, actually?
Absolutely. He does it more than ever. And that's kind of why I would say he's probably the best player in the world, because he does that. He takes it super serious. He does not play around, and he remains focused on the game at any given time.
And don't worry, I still consider you one of the best players in the world. Actually, do you consider yourself one of the best McCrees in the world? Because at least in the Western world, I think all of us here, talent-wise, would agree with that.
Very nice thing
It's
to say.
It's a lot of pressure, right? Like to be called that.
I mean, personally, I don't think so. I think, I mean, all I do is, you know, I'm pretty good at clicking heads in a game, and then, you know, the opinions for the fans or the people that like it for to decide. For me, I'm probably up there. Yeah, a little bit modest about that.
Okay, and then let's talk about your match coming up later today. You guys did have a fortunate illness issue with Zave not feeling too well, so your match was pushed back to the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're playing against Brazil. How's that match going to go? Give me a little bit of insight of how you think it's going to happen.
A little bit of insight. Honestly, we don't know like a good deal about them. We actually haven't scouted them a lot either. I mean, every time we wanted to, they haven't really been playing, you know, scrims or anything. So going into it, we don't really know what to expect. I mean, at the end of the day, they might surprise us, but I still think we're going to take it home.
And speaking of like actual scrim partners, who has been your scrim partners here? You talked a little about South Korea, but like who else has been your steady partners to play against?
Mostly Korea and Finland, obviously. We've been playing back and forth for, you know, 2-3 hour blocks. Probably more like 1.5 to 2 hours. We've been trying out other teams as well, playing against the US, playing against Russia, but obviously at the moment we feel like Finland and South Korea gives us like the both sides that we need to be able to mesh together as a better unit kind of thing. So we've been kind of pushing it for Finland and Korea. Korea, obviously.
So what is it about Finland? Because Rachel on the desk, she mentioned like you've been trying to get in their heads. Why? And if you can tell us how you've been doing that.
Getting into their heads?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all friendly banner and rivalry, right? I mean, we're all good friends outside the scene, and I mean, it's amazing to be able to play, I mean, against good friends, because now we're kind of representing Sweden, they're representing Finland. There is a rivalry between these two countries, and there always has been, you know, in terms of sports, hockey, whatever. So it's just going to transition well over to Overwatch as well. It's just friendly banner, that's all.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see potentially that match breaking up if both you two can get through their groups, but also we do have to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for the interview, and also good luck against Brazil later on. But for now, let's head back to the desk, guys.
Thank you so much, Jason and IDDQD. That was actually pretty insightful there. And great question at the end. He tried to play it off like it's friendly banter, but I know the other teams are still like, man, IDDQD is getting to us. I think we had some of those conversations with the teams earlier on.
Mind games.
Yeah. The thing is, Andre thinks he's pretty clever. You know, he walks around a bit. Just, you know,
are you implying that he's not?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you what he thinks. He just, you know, he's getting some air, but really he's just walking around. He wants people to know he's there. But I mean, to be fair, he's the kind of guy that probably doesn't really need to turn to mind games as well, because he is very, very good. I think he's definitely become a lot more passive in his positioning since Takeover. Back when you used to have 2 McCrees on one team and not just one, he's lost sits back a lot more. But again, good to hear from him a bit more.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much to my wonderful analysts. We'll be seeing more from you later on the caster desk, D-Man and Uber Shouts. And
you stay right here, Jonathan. We've got stuff to analyze. Guys, we're going to be right back with our next match. It's going to be China versus Thailand. Don't go anywhere.